All right, everybody, welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs and Company. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this each and every day at noon Central Standard Time, right? That's what the ST stands. Noon Central Standard Time. It's the first of two streams that we do every day here. We do a second one. We call that Pillow Talk. That has been rebranded as Pugs and Parker because James joins me. James Parker joins me on that one. That's a little bit more free flowing. That one is just he and I hanging out for at least an hour. I promise you at least an hour in that one. Sometimes it'll go longer, sometimes never shorter, but always longer. This one, though, this show, when you tune in at noon here each and every day, here's what you get. You get current events talk. You get rip and read. You get anything that's trending. You get anything that's going around, people are talking about. We discuss that. We try and get you all prepped up for all the things that are happening. Couple of rules, though. Don't do a whole lot of politics. As a matter of fact, try to do almost no politics. But we live in an era where just about everything is politics these days. So it's hard to avoid. But look, my promise to you, trying not to be divisive, trying to just do shit that we can all talk about that is just, stuff to talk about. Topics for when you don't want to get into an argument at work or whatever. That's what this is, high noon. We go through it all, and this usually takes about 2 hours or so. You can join the chat room. I see that April is, there's no sound. There's no sound? Why is there no sound? Is there sound now? Is there sound now? I need somebody else in the chat room. Oh, oops. Okay. April! You freaked me out, girl. You freaked me out. It's okay. You're allowed to. You are perfectly. That is should be on me. I have such a lack of confidence in this whole venture that even though I have double and triple checked everything, I'm still not sure. So when somebody says no sound, I go, we've had some internet issues the last couple of weeks. Although, to be honest with you, over the last few days, it's been perfectly fine. So I am confident that our internet situation has been resolved. How? I don't know, just fixed itself the way a lot of things just fixed itself. Hey, we had like 10 days where I couldn't have any guests on because there was an echo that was occurring whenever I would bring in a guest on. I don't know, that just fixed itself. One day that just went away. So let's just hope that continues. All right, what is today? Well, first of all, can we talk about the weather? And we're going to talk about the weather because Austin and Texas is trending because apparently this weather is idiotic. This is ridiculous. I have been feeling like waterhead, for a few, because it's been 80. First it was 30, then it was 80, then it was 40, then it was 70, then it was 30 again, and it was 80 again, and then this is insane. This weather, I can't take it. I cannot handle it. Oh, and also, if you were listening to last night's Pillow Talk with James and I, James told a story about James is an odd individual. Interesting. I mean, not odd, scary, but odd, like, that's interesting. He does things that he picks up hitchhikers, which I don't think anybody should be picking up hitchhikers, but James does. James likes to pick up hitchhikers and talk to them and figure them out. And he also does this thing he admitted last night where he will just go to lunch with a listener. Just not just somebody, pick up the phone, will talk to them, and then it'll be like, hey, we should go grab lunch. Just things. Those are all wonderful things, I suppose. But odd, different, not typical. So he told a story about him going to lunch with a 17-year-old retired orthodontist who is just a listener of his show. And the orthodontist had a mail order bride, not just one, but he had multiple mail order brides. So that started a whole thing on last night's Pillow Talk where James and I just investigated the whole world of mail order brides because we learned that we don't really know anything about it. And we scrolled through some mail order bride picture sites that were offering women for sale, although they claim they're not for sale, but I think we know different. And I anticipated this. They asked me for an email, and I put I just put the first email that came up, and apparently it was a Radio Misfits account. And I knew I was going to get in trouble for that. I knew I was going to get in trouble. Yeah, I got in trouble. Ed yelled at me. He didn't yell at me. Ed has like this fatherly thing where he does yell. He loses his shit. He is like super cool like 95% of the time. But then there's 5% of the time when all of the stresses and all the BS that he puts up with from people like me in his daily life boils over and he explodes. And then he totally goes back to normal. And then it's just, if you can just weather that. And I even said it last night on the air. I go, I probably shouldn't have done that. I don't know. I don't know if this I don't know if this is something I should do. I don't know where this email is going. And sure enough, were you scrolling some mail order bride sites last night? I get that text this morning. I'm like, yeah, I was. I'm sorry. I could have put a different, time was of the essence. We were trying to do it quickly. And I just said, enter an email. And I clicked on it and an email came up and I said, this'll do. I just clicked on it. So I don't know where it's going. So now he says he's going to forward me all the crap that came with it. I don't know what that's about. I apologize. But hey, man, anything for the art, bro. Anything. Today is January the 19th. It is the 19th day of the year. 346 days remain until the end of the year. And it is cold. Wait, is it cold or does it just feel cold because it's rainy and gross outside? Let's see. What is the current temperature where we do this show from? Here in beautiful North Texas, although not so beautiful today. Today, yesterday it was hot. Yesterday it was warm. Okay, it's currently 59 degrees, mostly cloudy with some rain. But that's okay because tomorrow's low is going to be 21. Look at the difference. Okay, so today's high, says here, is going to be in the 60s, 62 degrees for today's high. Today's low, 22 degrees. Today's low is going to be 22 degrees. Today's high is 60. That is a swing of 40 degrees during some point today. So enjoy that. And then tomorrow it's going to be cold. 35 high, 21 low, 43 high on Friday, 26 low. Yeah, and it's just going to be, it's winter. It's going to be winter. We have that for a couple of weeks a year down here. Let's hope the power grid holds. All right, so what do we talk about things that happened on this day? On this day in 1953, almost 72% of all the television sets in the United States are tuned into I Love Lucy to watch Lucy give birth to Desi Arnaz Jr. Desi Arnaz Jr., or Little Ricky, as he was known on the show. Now, here's what I'm a little confused about. On this day, 72% of all television sets in the United States are tuned into I Love Lucy, the TV show, to watch Lucy give birth. So on this day, Lucy gave birth on television to little Ricky. But also, on this day in 1953, Desi Arnaz Jr., the real little Ricky, was also born. So I was confused by that. I'm like, it wasn't like an actual birth. So what I guess they did was they filmed the episode where Lucy gives birth to little Ricky, and then they just made it air on the day that she was actually giving birth to little Desi. I don't know. I have a newfound appreciation for Lucy after watching that Nicole Kidman movie that's on, is it on Amazon Prime? Lucy and Ricky or whatever it is. That was a good movie. Oh, no, Being the Ricardos is what it's called. Being the Ricardos. That's a good movie. I don't know if it's a movie for everybody, but I love that stuff. I love, first of all, I love history. I love any kind of thing that is at least, anchored in actual events. And if it can be history of entertainment, which I find frivolous and silly and fun, all the better. I'd rather watch that stuff. So if you haven't seen it yet, Being the Ricardos, I recommend it. It's good. But you got to be interested in like what was going on in the early days of television and how they made television. And maybe you also have to have some understanding of who the real Lucille Ball was. Because this isn't, a lot of people said, they ought to have Deborah Messing play Lucy. She did Lucy in a skit in Will and Grace. And she did the wine stomping. And she did the candy and the Veda Vegemite sketch. And she was so fun. That's not what Being the Ricardos is. Being the Ricardos is about Lucille Ball. Not the character that she played as Lucy, but what she was like in real life. And she was a battle axe. She was a badass woman. She ran that. Well, she actually. I've read a couple of books over the years and stories about the history of television. Ricky was the president, or Ricky, sorry, Desi Arnaz was the president of Desilu because back then nobody took women seriously. But Lucy was the star. Lucy was the boss. Lucy was, and she did her best. I mean, it's depicted in the film. She did her best to sort of allow Desi to have that sort of power as president. And to his credit, he after they split, they continued to run Desilu Studios, and it became one of the biggest and most powerful studios in all of television. And that was all Desi Arnaz. Desi Arnaz did do a lot of stuff, but couldn't have been done without Lucy. It was Lucy's power. It was Lucy's influence. It was all of that emboldened Desi to be able to do that, to be able to be seen. Because she was a woman, but he was a Hispanic guy. He was a Cuban. And, there wasn't a whole lot of like Cuban guys who had accents like him back then in Hollywood who were being taken seriously. So she sort of made him. It's a good movie. I'm telling you, Being Ricardo's, it's a very good movie. And if you like Lucy, and I like Lucy, I mean, I'm not crazy about I Love Lucy or anything like that. To be honest, I was talking about this with a friend the other day. We were talking about the movie. And I said, I have less a familiarity with I Love Lucy than I do with The Lucy Show. Like she did a number of sitcoms after I Love Lucy, and they were in color. And she played Lucy Carmichael, and she worked in a bank. And Mr. Mooney was her boss. Those are the ones when I was little. Those are the ones that I remember seeing mostly. Honestly, I've only seen a few episodes of I Love Lucy, the black and white original early 1960s show. But as far as like the Lucy show goes, I feel like I've seen all of those. I feel like I like those. I liked Lucy Carmichael. I liked Mr. Mooney. Gail Gordon, I believe, played Mr. Mooney. Those were good ones. So it was interesting to me to watch I Love Lucy because, like I said, I had a pop culture familiarity with I Love Lucy. Like I knew the great bits. I knew the Vita Veggie Vegemite. I knew the candy thing where she worked in the candy factory. I knew the Stompin' Grapes bit. I knew all the classic hits. And I'd seen a few episodes. I knew who Fred and Ethel were and all that. But it was the late 60s, early 70s situation comedy that she did, the Lucy show. Maybe it wasn't even early 70s. Maybe it was just mid to late 60s, the Lucy show that I was familiar with. But on this day in 1953, that's what happened. That was one of the biggest events in television up until the time. Lucy Ricardo gave birth to little Ricky. On this day in 1981, the Iran hostage crisis came to an official end. The United States and the Iranian officials signed an agreement to release all 52 American hostages after 14 months in captivity. I believe that was the day before or the day of. I guess it was the day of, but because there's like a time change, maybe it was done in the middle of the night. So it was announced in the morning of Ronald Reagan's inauguration. And, historically, it was convenient for a lot of people to go, see, they were afraid of Reagan. But actually, I don't know that they were so much afraid of Reagan as much as like the 12 months of negotiations the previous administration had been working on this deal. And it came down to, hey, we're leaving. All of this work is going to be off the table. You're going to have to start fresh with some new negotiations with the new incoming administration. So are we going to get this done? So they got it done today. Now, that might be because they didn't feel that they would be able to negotiate with the Reagan administration, or maybe they felt that was a bit more hawkish, would have been a bit more dangerous. Who knows? But, I mean, give credit to the outgoing Carter administration. They're the ones that put that deal together. On this day in 1981, the Iran hostage crisis came to an end. Plane crashes. We got plane crashes. Just the one, though, today. 1960, Scandinavian Airlines Flight 871 crashes near Ankara Enzgoboga Airport in Turkey, killing all 42 aboard. You all know, if you're familiar with the show, I have a theory that between 1945 and 2000, every single day of the year, there has been a major commercial airlines crash. Why do you stop it at 2000, Pugs? Because I figured that that's around the time they worked all the bugs out. They got it down. They'd only been flying, and I don't count World War II because there were all kinds of plane crashes going on before 1945. Planes were getting shot out of the sky. That was pretty common. The world was at war. There was stuff going on. And I don't count after 2000 because that's when all like the terrorism kind of stuff started to creep in. am talking about mechanical plane failures, things where guys who built planes went, we need to fix that. Next time around, we're gonna get that bug. We got to work that bug out. And on today, we've got one. We've got just the one. But I still say there's always at least one. Although it's been proven over the last couple of weeks, the 3rd of January had no plane crashes, but it had like 4 major train derailments, which is weird. And then on January 13th, there was also no plane crashes. So I'm telling you, on the 23rd, we got to be looking for the 23rd. If on the 23rd, are we going to get 21, 22? Not 23rd is going to be a Sunday. So we're not going to be able, If there are no plane crashes on the 23rd, then there is something going on, people. There is some kind of symmetry there with 3, 13, 23. Here you go. Pugs is getting weird. Pugs is getting into the numerology thing. He's a big 11-11 guy. A little bit. Math. It's the only constant in the universe. I think there's something to it. Birthdays. We like to talk about who was born on this day. Janis Joplin, born on this day in 1943. Of course, American singer, songwriter. She died in 1970. Janis Joplin is the jumping off point for one of my most memorable moments in radio. And I've told it before, so I won't waste your time on the story, but we had Jimmy Johnson on, the head coach, former head coach of the Cowboys and NFL television analyst, prognosticator, whatever you want to call him. I didn't know how to take Jimmy Johnson. I was a little bit where I was like, okay, this guy's not going to put up with our nonsense. This guy is not going to be fun. I couldn't have been more wrong. Jimmy Johnson was so fun. He sat down with us. He was cool. He rolled with all my stupid questions. He was just great. And then I mentioned to him, I said, I think it's interesting. You grew up in the same town as Janis Joplin around the same time. Did you know her as a teenager? Not expecting much of an answer. And Jimmy Johnson went into this incredibly sincere and heartfelt story about how terrible the people of his town and people like himself and people like the other kids that went to school with her, how mean they were to her and how they basically pushed her out of their town. And Jimmy Johnson got weepy. Jimmy Johnson started to tear up thinking about what a terrible, small-minded hick he was back then. And how I remember him saying, it's just amazing to me that we were so arrogant in our beliefs that we didn't recognize the talent that this girl had. And there was a story where there was a talent show at school and she was singing in a talent show or something like that. And they all booed her and threw things at her. And he's like, man, we were just not, she was different. She was just different. She was special. The words of Jimmy Johnson. So I thought that was really cool. Doesn't matter. I'll be 80 years old and that will be one of the stories that I always remember, seeing this big, tough, accomplished NCAA football coach champions, multiple Super Bowl champion, just to see him have this real humbling, sincere moment where he talks about something that he's not proud of. It was a great moment. Janis Joplin, born today in 1943. Also born today in 1946, a national treasure. It's Dolly Parton Day around these parts. Dolly Parton was born on this day in 1946. She's trending, so we'll get into a little bit more of Dolly Parton later, but don't you be talking any shit on Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton is a treasure. We need to wrap her in bubble wrap. How old is she? 75, I'm guessing. 75 years old. 76 years old, maybe. I don't know. Math. It's the one constant in the universe, but I still haven't mastered basic math. Robert Palmer is born today, in 1949. Robert Palmer's dead, though. Robert Palmer, English singer, songwriter. He was the guy when all the dudes in Duran Duran kicked out Simon Le Bon for being sort of a douche. They went and just formed a new band, Power Station, and brought Robert Palmer in. Robert Palmer also had a bunch of individual hits, most notably Simply Irresistible, which is a song that me and my 12-year-old son, we always sing to each other because it was featured in the television show What We Do in the Shadows. And my son had never heard the song before that, but he loves What We Do in the Shadows. So now whenever we play that song for each other on Spotify, and we just laugh because it's so funny the way it was used in What We Do in the Shadows. Simply irresistible. He'll just send me a text, which will just be lyrics. He'll just send me She's unavoidable. Your back's against the wall. She gives me feelings like I never felt before. And then that's it. That's just the text. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll send back. She's making promises. She's breaking every rule. She used to look good to me. And then he'll send, simply irresistible. What can I tell you? Me and my kid do stupid stuff via text. Also born on this day in 1954, Katie Seagal, American actress and singer. I met her once in between her roles as Peg Bundy and Gemma Teller Morrow. Did she use Morrow in Sons of Anarchy? Because she was married to Clay Morrow, but I thought for some reason I always think Gemma Teller was her name. I don't know. Not going to get bogged down in that. I met her once between the Peg Bundy role and the Sons of Anarchy role. She came, she did a show we were doing in Chicago, and she was pushing, she's a singer, she's a very good singer. And she was pushing an album, and we did a live show, and she sang at our live show. It was a St. Patrick's Day show. And all I remember about her was how nice she was. She was really cool. She was like a really cool lady. Because you think Peg Bundy, she was a big star for a while, and then she's just hanging out, just being normal. We had this like VIP room above the bar. It was like an apartment that they used for, bands and stuff like that. And she was just hanging out in there, and there was about an hour between songs that she did, and she was talking to people. She's just real friendly. So I like her a lot. I like Katie Seagal a lot. Born on this day in 1974, man of 1,000 voices, although he's down 2 from the repertoire, Frank Caliendo, friend of the old Pugs and Kelly show, Frank Caliendo, American comedian, actor, says he's a screenwriter. I'm not familiar with any of his screenwriting work. Frank is a very funny guy. Frank does voices as good as, well, you know what? That's weird, because anybody who gets famous for doing impressions, you can say, that guy does the best impression. I mean, they all do good impressions. That's why they're famous for it. But Frank became famous for the Madden guy. That was what he was billed as for a while. Now here's a guy. I mean, he did a John Madden impression that was so funny and so incredible. And I don't know, does he still do that? I mean, John Madden's gone now. And then his other big one was Gruden, John Gruden. He did John Gruden too. And does John Gruden still play? I bet it does in comedy clubs. But yeah, two of his primary impressions, 2 of the cornerstones of his act, are no longer. Maybe they're more relevant. Maybe they're more. I don't know. Maybe he could do like a whole John Madden in Heaven thing, talking to Sammy Baugh or George Hallis or whoever. Who knows? He could do that. And John Gruden, he could still do John Gruden. He could do John Gruden writing emails. So I guess maybe it's not the hit to his act that we might be thinking. Born on this day in 1982. God, 1982. Are you kidding me? Transportation Secretary, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, first openly gay politician to be treated semi-seriously, Pete Buttigieg. And I say that we treat him seriously, semi-seriously, because we all know how to say his name. That's a hard name. If we didn't take him seriously, we'd still be calling him Buttigieg or Buttigieg. We all know it's Buttigieg. We all know it's boot edge. That went around. Pete Buttigieg. It's his birthday today, 1982. Born or died on this day. We only do this when it's an interesting one. Died on this day in the year 2000. Let's spend a little time on this one, because this is a fascinating person. This is just. There's a documentary about this woman. I don't know what it's called. I should probably. Pugs, you should have learned what it was called before you went and decided you were going to talk about it. Okay, well, we're gonna pull up a little Wikipedia page on her. Hedy Lamarr died on this day in the year 2000. Now, who's Hedy Lamarr? Isn't that the Harvey Korman character from Blazing Saddles? No, that was Hedley Lamarr. That was a running joke in Blazing Saddles. Everybody called him Hedy Lamarr, and he's like, it's Hedley Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr was a sex symbol, I guess, before we called them sex symbols. She was a Hollywood leading actress, a leading lady, very famous, very popular, very in demand. She was a big star. She was Austrian. She's not American, but very sexy, just a beautiful, beautiful woman. But she also like invented Bluetooth. I'm not like, okay, that's a bit of a reductive way of putting it. But Hedy Lamarr had this whole secondary life where she was an inventor. Did you know there was an Inventors Hall of Fame? She is in the Inventors Hall of Fame. So she is not only like the Angelina Jolie of her time, but she also, well, here, let me read you briefly from her Wikipedia page. Like I said, there is a documentary about Hedy Lamarr. I'll find out what it is. I'll tell you what it is, and then you can go watch it. It is mind blowing. It's crazy good. Hedy Lamarr, born Hedwig Eva Marie Keisler on November 9th, 1914, died on this day in year 2000, was an Austrian-born American film actress and inventor. After a brief early film career in Czechoslovakia, including the controversial Ecstasy, 1933, they say controversial because Ecstasy is believed to be the first film to ever show nudity. It was the first film that had like a nude shot in it. After a brief film career in Czechoslovakia, including the controversial Ecstasy in 1933, she fled from her husband, a wealthy Austrian ammunitions manufacturer, and secretly moved to Paris. Traveling to London, she met Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer studio head Louis B. Mayer, who offered her a movie contract in Hollywood. She became a film star with her performances in Algiers, 1938. Her MGM films included Lady of the Tropics, Boomtown, White Cargo. Her greatest success was as Delilah in Cecil B. DeMille's Samson and Delilah in 1949. She also acted on television before the release of her final film, The Female Animal, in 1958. She was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1960. At the beginning of World War II, she and George Antheil developed a radio guidance system for Allied torpedoes that used spread spectrum and frequency hopping technology to defeat the threat of jamming by Axis powers. Although the U.S. Navy did not adopt the technology officially until the 1960s, the principles of their work are incorporated in modern Bluetooth and GPS technology and are similar to methods used in legacy versions of CDMA and Wi-Fi. This work led to her induction into the Inventors Hall of Fame. So she's like a hot chick who's also a super genius who in 1940 is working on a concept for Bluetooth and GPS, and she invented something that would guide torpedoes underwater, like guided torpedoes underwater. Hedy Lamarr, Delilah from the Samson and Delilah movie, is the one, back in the lab with a pen and a pad working this stuff out. She is incredible. She's really interesting. All right, let me find out her movie. What is the let me see here. What is the documentary you need to see? In popular culture, Mel Brooks' 1974 Western Blazing Saddles features a villain named Hedley Lamarr as a running gag. Various characters mistakenly refer to him as Hedy Lamarr. Hold on, I'll find it. Should have done this. Pugs, you should have done this. In 2011, the story of Lamarr's frequency hopping spread spectrum invention was explored in an episode of the Science Channel show Dark Matters. Okay, that's not it. In 2011, Anne Hathaway revealed that she had learned that the original Catwoman was based on Lamarr, so she studied all of Lamarr's films and incorporated her breathing techniques into her portrayal of Catwoman in the 2012 film Dark Knight Rises. In 2015, let's see, on November 9th, the 101st anniversary of her birth, Google paid tribute to Hedy Lamarr's work in film and her contributions to scientific advancement with an animated Google Doodle. Where is it? Oh, here it is. 2017 documentary, Bombshell, The Hedy Lamarr Story. Written and directed by Alexandra Dean and produced by Susan Sarandon, a documentary about Lamarr's career as an actress and later as an inventor. It was released in theaters on November 24, 2017, and then aired on PBS's American Masters in May of 2018. That's the movie. If you like really mind-blowing, cool documentaries, Bombshell, The Hedy Lamarr Story. Probably find it on Amazon Prime. I know it's out there somewhere. If not, you can find it on YouTube. But that man, I'm telling you. You look at this woman and you're like, holy cow. Think about that. In 1940, it was a man's world, baby. They wanted her to just look pretty and get in the kitchen. And what's she doing? She's working on torpedo guidance systems. Good Lord. Hedy Lamarr, dead on this day in 2000. Truly an impressive woman. All right, let's see here. Let's do a moment of joy. I like this one. This is fun. You're going to enjoy this. Promise you. All right, so here's the deal. Okay, so dude's got security cameras around his house. He got a golf cart and he's got a car. And somebody ran the golf cart into the car. And he couldn't figure out who drove the golf cart into the car. Well, the security cameras tell the story. Let's take a look at it. Oh, look at that good boy. Look at him. Oh, he's getting in the golf cart. Oh, dog is just loving the golf cart. I'm starting to think what might happen here. Oh, jeez. Oh, the dog is driving the golf cart. Oh, it's out of control. He does not steer. And boom. The dog just walked away. No big deal. There you go. That's your moment of joy. How great was that? Thank you. Thank you. So good. All right, let's get into some of the things that are trending today. Let's see what we have happening in the world. Okay, so I don't like to do this. I've been ignoring these stories for the last, I don't know, since we started doing it. By the way, did you hear that? That was weird. Got a little phlegm. I'm about to talk about COVID. Phlegm is a good sign because, as I understand it, it's a dry cough that comes with the COVID. This is the sinuses. This is from the crazy weather. It's going up, it's going down. My body doesn't know what's happening. The reason I'm going to mention this is because these numbers are staggering. They released new modeling numbers for COVID in the United States, and they believe that by spring, which is 6-7 weeks from now, 50 to, now that's a big spread, 50 to 300,000 more COVID deaths in this country by spring. And I'll tell you what's just nuts about it. When this whole thing started, way back when, the shock numbers from COVID were that death tolls could reach 50 to 100,000 people. And then as it started to get out of control, then they raised it to, 500,000 people could die from COVID. And it's just now it's just the genie's out of the bottle, people. We are through the looking glass. This is not a good thing. It is not going away. I don't know, man. I got my shots. I wear a mask still. You wearing a mask still? I remember a couple of weeks ago, he and I got into it because he was mask shaming me. Although he says I wasn't mask shaming, he was mask shaming me. I'm like, dude, we're not through it. We're not through it. And and I still wear masks. I bring a mask with me everywhere just in case. Shopping. When I go shopping, everybody wears a mask. Wears a mask when I go shopping. If there's 100 people in the Kroger, I would say easily 75 people have a mask on. It's definitely more people than not. And, just about every store I walk into has a sign that says, we request that you wear a mask. Now, that's not a law. I don't have to. Whatever. Come on, man. Can't we all just... But we're not. And this is why I don't talk about the COVID situation much, because we're just not all going to get on board on this. We're just not. It's anybody who is still refusing to wear a mask, anybody who is still refusing to get their shots, they're not going to get it. And that's it. The ship has sailed. That doesn't make them, demons that need to be burned at the stake. I can't have a conversation with people anymore. I do what I think is best for society. I do what I think is best for me and the people that I love. That's it. That's all. It's not totalitarianism. It's not fascism. It's science. It's just there's this thing and we don't know what it is, and science is fluid and things change all the time, and you have to stay up on it because one thing that they say today may change tomorrow, because that's what science is. It's our best guess by our brightest people. So, CDC study, vaccination protections against COVID-19 hospitalization significantly more than prior infection. Vaccination protects against hospitals. Okay, so that's the new thing that's going on. I don't know, people are in the hospital. You know what I think it is? I think that there are just the people, when it says here 50 to 300,000 more dead people by spring, those are people who are vulnerable. Those are people who are already in cancer treatments, who already have issues, who already have problems, right? So, they are the most vulnerable to this. And we're just killing off the weakest in the herd? Is that what we're okay with? I guess, the vast majority of us are just gonna get sick, and we'll miss a couple. Well, we'll miss more than that because you got quarantine and shit. But we're just gonna get sick. We're gonna have a terrible couple of days, and we're gonna be fine. But it's the other people. It didn't work when we said it's gonna kill grandma. I mean, we had the lieutenant governor here in Texas like, I think old people would be happy to die for capitalism. I don't know about that. So the problem is that the vast majority of us are not as vulnerable as others. And because we're not, we don't care. That's really just how I can. Pugs now, who's being reductive? I know, but I really do think that that's it. I think that most people are like, so I get sick for a couple of days, so what? And that's all they think about. They don't think about how them getting sick and then spreading it to somebody else who's going to get sick, who isn't probably, maybe isn't vulnerable, but they're just going to say, it just keeps it going. It just keeps it going. And science isn't evil. I mean, what are we burning witches at the stake? I mean, I thought we had some kind of trust in science, in the people that were actually not going to college keg parties, the people who were back in the library studying. I thought that was the trade-off. The trade-off was that we would have fun and you nerds would learn all the stuff that we don't want to learn. And then when it comes time, we'll listen to you. But we don't listen to them. We don't. It's just, we just, whatever. We do what we want. Because I don't have a lung issue. I'm not battling cancer. And we don't think. We don't think outside of our own little immediate. And that's, it's humans. We have egos. We are narcissists. That is the flaw in whatever this species is that we currently occupy. Sorry, I'm distracted by something on TV. All right. Let's see. What else is Dak is trending. Dak Prescott, beloved. I mean, look, I still love Dak. I'm not going to be angry at Dak. Dak had a rough game on Sunday. Dak made some mistakes. And one of the things that Dak did after the game, during his press conference, he went off on fans who were throwing bottles at players. And then it was pointed out to him that the fans weren't necessarily targeting players with the bottles and the cans or whatever the hell it was they were throwing. They were targeting the referees, at which point Dak said, well, then I totally am okay with it. Or, credit to them. I believe credit to them is what he said for targeting the referees with projectiles from the stands. And it was going to be a problem. You can't say that. You can't be a quarterback in the NFL, and you can't openly advocate for the violent injury of referees. That's not going to sit well with the. It's not going to sit well with the league. That's all I'm saying. It's just not going to go over. And so Dak is now. Last night he's trending, and he's taken to Twitter to make his point. He says, "Dak Prescott here. I hold the NFL officials in the highest regard and have always respected their professionalism and the difficulty of their jobs. The safety of everyone who attends a game or participates on the field of a sporting event is a very serious matter. I deeply regret the comments I made regarding the officials after the game on Sunday. I was caught up in the emotion of a disappointing loss, and my words were uncalled for." Let's see, what's the last one that he says here? Something about I do. That was my mistake on my behalf, and I am sorry. All right. Look, Dak Prescott's a classy guy. I love Dak Prescott. I get rid of him. We need a new quarterback. No, don't do that. Don't do just sit tight with who you have. Dak Prescott had one bad game. Leave him alone. And I'm not even entirely certain that it was his bad game. I mean, there was. But here he did something else though too that needs to be mentioned. It was Michael Parsons who pointed this out. Micah Parsons says that Dak Prescott came into the team locker room after the game and said, "Hey, everybody throw in $500 to give to the practice squad players because they don't get the same check for playoff games as the rest of us." Parsons says that's the kind of leader Prescott is. Prescott's a good dude. He's a fine athlete, and it is not time to bail on Dak Prescott. That's just me. That's just what I say. Jerry Jones is trending. It just popped up. He wasn't trending earlier. I don't know. I don't know why Jerry Jones is trending. What did he do? Other than yesterday, he said that they weren't going to get rid of Mike McCarthy. Or I guess Stephen Jones said that on The Fan here in town. It doesn't seem to be any specific reason why Jerry Jones is trending, so we'll move on from that. All right, let's see here. What else do we got? What else is trending? Dolly Parton is trending. It's her birthday. We said that I said I would mention more about Dolly Parton. 76 years old today by my sketchy math, I believe is her age. Dolly Parton, she ain't been around much anymore. It's not like she's, there was a period of time, there was about a 10-year period where Dolly Parton was everywhere. She was a big country music singing star. She was all over TV all the time. She had variety shows, and then she did movies. She became a movie star for a little bit of time. And throughout the entire existence of Dolly Parton, she has been one thing: cool. She just cool. Nice, kind, loving, decent, sincere, genuine Dolly Parton. She is an absolute national treasure. A couple of years ago, I was watching a concert. It was like an indie rock concert from, it was one of those big English, where they fill a field with like 500,000 people. And they have a bunch of bands you never heard of because they're from Manchester and Bristol and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't Nebworth. It wasn't, but it was something like that. It was some big, and this is probably 10, 15 years ago. And in the middle of all of these, like I say, like EDM bands, Bristol bands, Manchester bands, that kind of English pop, English late 90s or early 2000s English new wave pop groups. Out comes Dolly Parton to do a set. Dolly Parton comes out, does a set in front of 500,000 kids, 500,000 English kids who probably love, who? Damon Albarn, they love Oasis. They like that kind of stuff. And out comes Dolly Parton, and she just runs off a string of her hits. And that audience went insane. You can find it on YouTube. You can just Dolly Parton English concert or whatever. And I remember watching this going, that is so cool. These kids recognize, these aren't even American kids. These are English kids. And these kids recognize what a cool, awesome, she's out there. She's doing the 9 to 5 theme. She's doing all her corny hits and all that. But man, they are loving her, going nuts for her. And I just thought it was so cool to see, because even at that time, she was an old, I don't believe it, even though it was the height of international irony, and everything was ironic for a while there. Even though it was at the height of that, it seemed real genuine, seemed sincere. And I imagine the idea of trotting out Dolly Parton onto the stage in between, two bands that have like pierced noses and stuff like that was probably seen as, this will be truly ironic and interesting and people will laugh at this. They didn't laugh, man. That audience went nuts. That audience was into it. I love Dolly Parton. So here she's trending. She's trending number one. I don't know why. From best I could tell, because of an interview that Dolly Parton did back in the early 80s with Barbara Walters, who I found out last night is still alive. Wasn't sure that Barbara Walters was still alive, but as it turns out, she is. Look at her. She's alive. Hold on. Got to do this. Oh, I'm getting ads. Hold on. I want to show you this. So Barbara Walters, is asking her some pretty uneasy questions, and seemingly like there's a couple of backhanded compliments in here. Barbara Walters is being a bit of a snooty East Coast, educated, elitist woman interviewing this hick with the big boobs and the blonde wig. And the way Dolly Parton handles Barbara Walters is it's a lesson to all of us. She could have started yelling. She could have gotten mad. She could have been like, how dare you speak to me in that way, lady? I am Dolly freaking Parton. The only reason you're talking to me is because I'm one of the biggest stars on the planet right now, and you're coming at me with this hick bullshit. She didn't do that. She didn't do that. Dolly Parton handled it the way Dolly Parton handles shit. And it was pretty awesome. So here, let's see if we can watch this. Can I make it big? There we go. All right, let's check this out. This is from 1977. I was wrong, so it wasn't even the early 80s. So this is the height of Dolly mania.
Asked me something, and I'm going to blame it on her because I wouldn't have had the nerve otherwise. Is it all you?
Well, I can't show you here. I'll tell you.
I'll take your word for it.
I get asked that question. I always answer that by because people are in awe of the whole thing. You know, a lot of people say I have. A lot of people say I haven't. I always say that if I hadn't have had it on my own, I'm just the kind of person that would have had me some made.
You don't have to look like this. You're very beautiful. You don't have to wear the blonde wigs. You don't have to wear the extreme clothes, right?
No, it's certainly a choice. I don't like to be like everybody else. I've often made this statement that I would never stoop so low as to be fashionable. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. So I just decided that I would do something that would at least get the attention. Once they got past the shock of the ridiculous way I looked and all that, then they would see there was a parts of me to be appreciated. I'm very real where it counts, and that's inside, and as far as my outlook on life and the way I care about people and the way I care about myself and the things that I care about. But I just chose to do this, and show business is a money-making joke, and I've just always liked telling jokes.
But do you ever feel that you're a joke, that people make fun of you?
Oh, I know they make fun of me, but actually all these years the people, has thought the joke was on me, but it's actually been on the public. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I can change it at any time. Or I make more jokes about myself than anybody, because I enjoy it. I know, like I say, I am sure of myself as a person. I'm sure of my talent, and to me, and I'm sure of my love and for life and that sort of thing. I'm very content. I like the kind of person that I am. So I can afford to piddle around and diddle around with makeups and clothes and stuff because I am secure with myself.
Listen, tell me about this marriage of yours, this man whom nobody ever seems to see. We heard that he was here. We heard that he was in town, but none of us have seen him. Paul Dean, you don't see him very much. You're on the road most of the time. You've said, I know that this marriage will always last. This man gives me everything I need. How do you know?
Well, I need freedom. The man gives me freedom.
So why get married?
Well, why not?
Why? I mean, if what you want most is freedom, why have a husband tucked away someplace to see 6 weeks a year?
But he has the same freedom. See, the thing of it is, you don't find a person that you can be happy with and that can accept you the way you are and can share the things and to plan for the future and to enjoy your home. We have our foundation, we have our roots, we have all the things that everybody's looking for, and that's happiness in a marriage. I've got better things to do than to sit around in my room thinking, oh, what's Carl doing tonight? I wonder if he's with somebody and this and that.
All right, there you go. That's Dolly Parton handling just some of the most ham-fisted and stupid questions from an elitist bitch like Barbara Walters. Oh, Barbara Walters is the greatest interview. We used to think that. People used to think Barbara Walters was this amazing. Look, 92-year-old woman, God bless her. She was a trailblazer. She broke a lot of glass ceilings. She did a whole bunch of stuff to further women, especially in the media. But man, that was some BS questions there. Are you a joke? Why do you look like this? Are you kidding me, Barbara Walters? You look ridiculous. Why do you talk that way? Why do you have that weird sort of lisp thing going on where you can't pronounce words? What is with that strange bob haircut? Why haven't you gotten a nose job? Why is it that you're on TV, but you're not as pretty as other people on TV? Those were the questions that should have been thrown right back at Barbara Walters. Dolly Parton, God love her, handling it with charm, with class, with grace. What an amazing woman. And again, I'll point out, Dolly Parton was exponentially bigger and more popular than Barbara Walters when that interview was conducted. Dolly Parton could have destroyed Barbara Walters, and people would have been on her side because there hasn't been a time in this world when people didn't love Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton is a treasure. And it's her birthday today. So there you go. That's why Dolly is trending. Let's see what else is happening here. What do we got trending? We've got this is a good one. If you're a fan of movies, especially great 90s movies. Heat 2 has been announced. Heat 2. You remember the Michael Mann movie from, early 90s? About the bank robberies in Los Angeles. I don't know. Here's the story. Heat fans rejoice as Michael Mann and Meg Gardner, Meg Gardner announce a novel, Heat 2, has an August 9th publishing date and will detail the lives of characters before and after the 1995 crime classic. Now, here's what, Pugs, that's a book. That's not a movie. Yeah, but the books get turned into movies. And that's Michael Mann's not doing this because he suddenly wants to write novels that nobody reads. This means that there's going to be a Heat 2 movie shortly after the release of the book. Michael Mann is ready to rip on Heat 2, a novel he had written with Edgar winner Meg Gardner that expands the tapestry of his 1995 crime classic film. The surprise here, the novel, coming August 9th, through HarperCollins, blah, 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 in print, will tell an original story about the lives of the characters in that movie, both before and after the events depicted in the film. To those like myself who's watched the atmospheric Los Angeles-based heist thriller dozens of times, I'm like you. Heat is a top. This gets dangerous because I mention like all the time. That's a top 10 film. I've got like 30 films that I've probably mentioned are in my top 10. I'd have to sit down and really make a list, but Heat is of the genre, in my opinion. First of all, I'm a Michael Mann freak. I love everything that Michael Mann has done, whether it's Thief, whether it's To Live and Die in L.A., whether it's Manhunter, whether it's Heat, Miami Vice. Michael Mann, I love Michael Mann. He is just one of the most... Atmospheric is coming up, but I'm not sure because I may have just read that. But that is a great description of the way Michael Mann directs. His films all have an atmosphere that is uniquely... You know how certain bands have a sound where you know from the very beginning that, oh, that's the Smashing Pumpkins. It's a good example. The Smashing Pumpkins have a unique sound that Red Hot Chili Peppers, they have a unique sound that you almost instantly know what that is. Michael Mann is that as a director. Michael Mann, you show me an opening scene and I'll go, this is a Michael Mann film. Michael Mann did this. I can tell by the sunset. I can tell by the horizon. I can tell by look at what Miami Vice was. I mean, Miami Vice was a show that was, a cop show. But more than that, it became a phenomenon because the way it was shot, the way it looked, the way he incorporated music, the way he incorporated, the beauty in the scenery of Miami. He did the same thing in all of his films, whether it was Heat, where he just created this like not Heat, Thief, which was like this dark, gritty underbelly. He made the underbelly of Chicago petty crime. James Caan played a thief in that. Seem atmospheric. To Live and Die in L.A. I mean, there is just this vibe. There is just this feeling. So anything Michael Mann does, I am very excited about. To those like myself who's watched the atmospheric Los Angeles-based, there it is, there's a word, Los Angeles-based heist thriller dozens of times, the prospect of its creators revitalizing the terrain and characters is something to look forward to. To remind the meticulously plotted mano-a-mano matchup between LAPD homicide robbery lieutenant Vincent Hanna and master thief Neil McCauley became a seminal entry in the crime film canon. The film teamed for the first time ever. This is what's so cool about Heat. The film teamed for the first time ever Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And, they were only, the story on Heat is that the Robert De Niro and Al Pacino were both stars of the film. They were on opposite sides. One was a cop, one was a bank robber. And, people were very excited when this movie was going to come out because these two superstar dramatic actors had never done a film before, Heat. And they only did one scene. There was only one scene where Al Pacino and Robert De Niro were on screen together. And it was that scene in the diner where the cop and the thief sit down and they have a conversation. It's one of the great scenes in film history. I don't know if the acting is as otherworldly as one might expect with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro going mano a mano and, in a scene trying to act each other's butts off, but it's just cool. It's just cool to see these two guys in their prime too, by the way, 1995. They're not, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro now are a little bit slower, a little bit older. You know, they get old, they slow down a bit. But this was back in the 90s when these guys were grown-ass men who were already champions of their art. They were great. So let's see here. Where are they going to talk about the film? Blah, blah, blah. Heat remains one of Warner Brothers' top rentals some 27 years after the film was released. It's been my intention for a long time to do further stories of Heat, Michael Mann told Deadline. There was always a rich history or backstory about the events in these people's lives before 1995 and projection of where their lives would take them after. Now, that would be interesting because you could recast the roles, the two main role. I mean, Val Kilmer, right? Val Kilmer was in Heat. I guess you can't. Val's got some hard times. He's been sick, so you probably couldn't see him in the present. But anyway, you have an opportunity now to recast the De Niro, Kilmer, and Pacino roles with younger hot actors, and you can still get De Niro and Pacino to play their older selves. So I like it. I like the idea. That's why Heat 2 is trending today across multiple platforms. Not all of them, but it is trending across a couple. Here's one that I don't know. And I'm not really up on this one. Couple of celebrity deaths. Yvette Mimieux. Ever heard of her? I'd never heard of her either, but she's an old actress and she died. The only reason that I know who she is, and this is it. I remember the name because I thought, wow, isn't that a lyrical name? I'd never seen a movie she was in, but I just thought, well, that's a pretty name, Yvette Mimieux. My first wife had a very unique name, and people used to always say to her, you know, where did you get that name from? Her name was Sloan, and she was named after a character that Yvette Mimieux played in a 1961 film called Diamond Head. So there you go. That's just a little personal story for me. Yvette Mimieux is dead. Also, somebody by the name of another one who I don't know, but this is trending all over, so I guess he was internationally famous, just not here. A guy by the name of Gaspard Ulliel. Gaspard Ulliel, a 37-year-old French award-winning actor, considered one of the greatest French actors of his generation. He's dead at 37 years old, a ski accident. He collided with another person and suffered a traumatic brain injury. He was helicoptered to a hospital and he passed away. The French actor who starred in It's Only the End of the World and is set to make his Marvel debut on the Moon Knight series was 37 at the time of his death. So there you go. Couple of celebrities, sort of, are trending because they passed away. Yeah, bless them. The Ring of Power. Ring of Power is trending today. What is the Ring of Power, Pugs? What's that? Tell me about the Ring of Power. The Ring of Power is the name that Amazon Prime is giving to the new Hobbit series. They're making a Hobbit series. A lot of people are excited about it. Ring of Power is trending across all platforms. Everybody's talking Ring of Power, Ring of Power. I'm not a Hobbit guy. You know, I've never seen any of the. Maybe I should, because I recognize that Peter Jackson is a brilliant filmmaker. And being wholly unfamiliar with his most notable work, the Lord of the Rings films, I don't know what happened. I think when the Lord of the Rings films started coming out, I fancied myself a film snob, and I thought that those were just, stupid. How there are film series that have gone on to become major cornerstones of American modern popular culture, and I have just a huge blind spot in them. And it's Lord of the Rings. Never saw it. Never saw Lord of the Rings. Never saw any of them. Never saw any of the spin-offs. Never saw any of the sequels, whatever you want to call them. Never saw them. Harry Potter films. I think I've seen a scene or two from a Harry Potter film, but never saw any of those. And the Fast and the Furious movies. I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie because when they first started coming out, I was a total snob. And it just looked like dumb douchebag movie. It was like, this looks like a movie that's appealing to people who are just total douchebags. However, I will tell you about the Fast and the Furious movies. My 12-year-old son is a fan of them. So I think that like at some point I'm probably going to have to watch them. We might watch a couple Fast and the Furious movies. And now, because I'm not a snob anymore, in any respect, I'm not a snob when it comes to TV. I'm not a snob when it comes to music. I'm not a snob when it comes to film. I used to be insufferable. But now, I'm older and I'm like, if somebody created something from nothing and they're going to put it out there and there are other people who say that it's worth whatever, who am I to say, oh, I know so much better sight unseen. So I'll check anything out now. I'm a different person now. Remember, I dance now. I never danced before. I would never dance. That is not something that I would do. I was so uptight about that kind of thing. Dancing, no, thank you. Maybe if I was drunk and with someone at a wedding, I would dance for like one or two songs, but it was absolute terror for me. Now I dance all the time. I dance in the grocery store with my kid. I dance just for no reason whatsoever. Why not? Stop being uptight. Stop being a snob. Start having a little bit of fun. We could all drop dead at any moment. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. Nobody is looking at you on a dance floor and going, well, that person has no credibility. Nobody cares. Nobody is looking at you. You're not important. So I dance now. Don Lemon. And maybe I'll get into some of the Lord of the Rings films. Maybe I'll check one out because, like I said, I respect Peter Jackson as a filmmaker. I think he's done some cool stuff, and I have this big blind spot. Don Lemon is trending. Sugar Don Lemon. I've been very open about I spent a lot of time the past couple of years watching CNN. I decided I was never going to watch MSNBC and I was never going to watch Fox News because that is just both of those. That's idiot stuff. That's stuff for people who have no open mind when it comes to information. They want what they already believe regurgitated back to them in pithy little witticisms, and then they repeat them in bars, and they just seem like assholes. So for a number of years, I had to look at the three major cable news outlets and go, all right, well, CNN is kind of in the middle. The CNN, if you're an MSNBC watcher, CNN is just basically Fox News Light. And if you're a Fox News watcher, CNN is the liberal fake news media. It's like so I figured they're right in the middle, right? So I started watching CNN, and by the way, I like news. I don't like divisive political commentary, which MSNBC and Fox News was all about for the longest time. CNN, conversely, was doing actual news. They were actually talking about things, plane crashes, pipeline issues, international things, So I was interested in that. I'm like, okay, so this is real news. This is real stuff that's happening. This isn't just some guy with an R or a D under his name telling me what he wants me to believe. That's that. So it was the happy medium. It wasn't perfect, but it was the happy medium. CNN sucks now. CNN absolutely sucks. Donald Trump got in CNN's head, and now CNN doesn't know what they are. They have no clue. They're hiring Rex Chapman to be on the CNN Plus streaming service. They're doing prime time made-for-TV movies now. Oh, yeah. Did you hear about that? CNN in 2022 is going to start like on a Wednesday night, they're going to show a made-for-TV movie that they're producing. They don't know what the hell they are anymore. And one of the worst people on CNN, one of the people that I just cannot stand is Don Lemon. I cannot stand him. I'm sorry. There is not an objective bone in Don Lemon's body. The guy is obviously... he's in the tank. He's in the tank for one side. And, so much hope for him. So much. He's a black man. He's a gay man. He's got all of these different interesting aspects to him. Maybe he's going to be interesting. He's not. He's not. He is such a shill. So Don Lemon is trending today because he went on TV. CNN is really pushing Don Lemon too. Like they want him to be their new big star. Which is interesting because he used to be the one that they thought about the least. They were focused more on the Tapper and the Anderson Cooper and the Chris Cuomo. But now it's Don Lemon. He's their lead sled dog, and they're trying to promote him as much as possible. So he does these hits on the morning show, which is so old school thinking. Hey, let's let's up your profile by putting you on the morning show and have you do commentary on the morning show. Nobody watches morning shows anymore. More people watch the prime time. Let's stop thinking that morning shows is what. At any rate, he went on New Day, CNN's morning show. Oh, and by the way, I should say this. There are a couple people at CNN who I do like, who I like a lot. Brianna Keeler is awesome. She is terrific. John Berman is awesome. He is terrific. They are exactly what I am looking for in a news. I don't even know what the hell you'd call them. An anchor. They're not reporters. Someone who sits at a desk and tees up stories for other people. I like both of them. But everybody else is garbage. And Don Lemon is just total garbage. So he went on the New Day morning show today. And he just ranted. They let Don Lemon rant about all kinds. He was ranting about the Voter Rights Act. He's calling out Republicans as hypocrites. And then he's talking about he's applauding Australia for their treatment of Novak Djokovic and applauding France for, we need these idiots. He's basically doing AM talk radio for, people who would listen to a black gay man, so it's not exactly AM talk radio. You know what I mean? He's doing like his version for his side of that same kind of bluster and just super simplified takes on shit. And that's what he does. And that's what they're putting forward. So he's trending because of that. They're trying to put him out there as a serious person. So I want to show you guys something. This is one of the things that I despise about Don Lemon. This is why he has no credibility for me. Don Lemon is one of the hosts that CNN uses, at least they have the last 5 years or so, on their New Year's Eve specials, which are this is one of the reasons that I despise CNN. I hate CNN because of what they do on New Year's Eve. They completely chuck the idea that we're supposed to take them seriously and trust them with major things. And they have a party. They just get crazy. And it's just so stomach turning to me. Anderson Cooper tries to hold it together, but they always team him with some cherry bomb of a co-host who's going to, do something provocative and crazy. And then Anderson Cooper will do a shot, Anderson. Well, okay. And Anderson will do one. He tries to hold it together. Anderson Cooper tries to do an admirable job of maintaining the image and the reputation. But Don Lemon does not. Don Lemon is just a big old fool when it comes to this stuff. And here, I want to show you this. This is
on social media to tell us.
He gets hammered every single New Year's Eve. And he just, here, all right, we'll start with this. Why not? We'll start with this. But then I want to fast forward to what was one of the most bizarre Don Lemon moments from a couple of years ago. And I found the clip of it. He was drunk and he's talking to Brooke Baldwin and he just starts talking about his love life. Now, they don't have the entire clip of it, but it was so weird. It was just, he's like, I think this is the year I'm going to fall in love. You are not a serious person, Don Lemon. I can no longer look at you like someone who is going to give me the straight dope on some earth-shattering news of this break. I just want to find a man who's got a love. Shut up. We would never have seen Walter cry. I've never seen Dan Rather drunk. Never saw him. Never saw Tom Brokaw drunk. Never saw any of the legit news people of the past drunk. Yet every New Year's Eve, I have to look at you, Don Lemon. I have to look at you get drunk and sad and weird on TV. Are we showing it? Yeah, we're showing it. All right, let's watch this. And then I'll fast forward to the part where I want you to. But this is from just this past year. First of all, look at him. This is a newsman. This is, say what you will about Fox News. You're not going to see Sean Hannity doing this. You're not going to see Tucker Carlson doing this. At all costs, they are always serious and no fun.
On social media to tell us what your resolutions are.
Yes.
What your wish is for 2022.
You know what my resolution is?
Yes.
For 2022?
Yes.
No more broke dick. Okay?
No more what?
No more broke dick. No more penis from a man that has no money.
Did you say broke dick?
Yeah. Oh. But it's always good. That's the problem. Wow. Can I say that on TV? Is that okay?
I ain't saying she's a broke.
Listen, all I'm saying is,
she's a gold
if
digger.
anyone who is
Look at this fool.
acquiring male genitalia, it needs to be attached to someone who can also fly you to the Caribbean.
All right, so here, now let's move on to
He might try to kiss me. I actually am not planning on that.
I'm a bad person to date. I'm not selfish. I'm not selfish. I'll give
All right, this is the year, I don't know, a few years back. It looks like it's 5 years back. I never forgot it. Where Don Lemon just started to be the pathetic drunk guy in the bar talking about his love life. You can't do this and then expect to be taken seriously as someone who's going to deliver hard, important news.
you my last, but I'm very self-centered.
Okay,
might try
even
to
Brooke
kiss
Baldwin, his partner, is trying to warn him. Are we going there? Really? Right now? She's like trying to walk him back, but he's drunk and he doesn't care.
I actually am not planning on that.
I'm a bad person to date. I'm not selfish. I'm not selfish. Give you my last, but I'm very self-centered. Yeah. I'm not going to be as self-centered.
You're going to be less self-centered in 2017.
Yeah, but I don't really do resolutions, and I live my life to the fullest. I don't care what people think about me. I do what I want because it's my life. You know what I'm saying? Don't put me in a box.
You are still totally flirting with this tattoo thing, aren't you?
I am. I think I want one. I was very anti before.
You were discussing a Trump thing on your...
I'm not even gonna take part in that. I'm just gonna drink my beer.
Are you gonna stand on the bar again?
Yes. And we're gonna throw it to break.
Hey, remember when Tucker Carlson
second
did
line.
this?
This is New Orleans second line.
Sorry, Don.
Happy New Year!
I do not
We're
take
back.
you seriously.
Live from New Orleans in just moments. It's like, I got that bubbly. I got that bubbly. I got that bubbly. I got that. I got that. I got that bubbly. You haven't seen that?
I don't know who that is.
All right, you'll see it. I'll send you the thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. Do we have a minute? Yes, we do. Well, we have about 2 minutes. Did we kiss last year? I think we did. People were worried about the sexual tension between us. But,
Are they now?
One. Wait, I need a little more. I need a little more. Pour me a little more. A little more. Perfect.
Having a moment.
2016 was awful. New Orleans is awesome. People are saying that I'm lit. Yeah, I'm lit. Who cares?
This is one of
Who
my
cares?
favorite
New
cities on
Orleans
the
is lit.
planet.
I love it. I grew up in Baton Rouge, about an hour down the road, and I was here almost every weekend growing up, especially when I went to college. We would come here.
I'm sure you behaved.
We would drink until midnight, and then we'd have a designated driver, of course. And then we'd come to New Orleans, an hour away, and then we'd party till 5, 6 in the morning. My mom said, "You are tripping."
You are tripping from Mama
Meaning,
Lemon.
yes, it's a fleur-de-lis. It's beautiful. I shouldn't touch it so much because I'm
Yeah, no,
afraid
stop
of it.
touching.
Oh, yeah, that's
stop
the
touching.
year you
There's
gotta-
a lot of alcohol here. We need
Piercing.
But I think I need to get
Live on
another.
the
Someone
air.
said that you saved me from getting a nipple piercing. I think I'm going to
You're
get
welcome.
one.
You're welcome.
Should I get one?
Don's mom, you're welcome. He needs to just cut him off.
Someone did something a little weird to me when I was down there.
I don't want to know.
But it had to do with white power. And then I'm going to run.
And you're going to run for president.
Yeah, as an independent.
Oh, God, he probably will. He probably will.
I quit.
Our bosses are sitting at home right now going, no!
I love this town.
All right, that's enough. We don't, but that's, Don Lemon is trending, and that is why he turns my stomach. But Pugs, you're allowed to have some fun. No. We are in such a perilous place right now when it comes with the dissemination of factual information. We need to go back to a time when it was uptight, stuffy people wearing suits who didn't seem to have any sense of humor whatsoever, who, when they say something is coming, when something bad is about to happen, we actually believe them because we take them seriously, not somebody who I go, wasn't that the guy who was threatening to get his nipples pierced on New Year's? He makes me so sick. And it's unfortunate because, I don't like to dislike people to the extent that that's, look, if you think that, or let's get in here. I agree with Leslie. Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity are terrorists. That may be true. I don't watch them. But what I'm telling you is that for the audience that tunes in to see them, they take them seriously because they are serious people. They may be seriously criminal. They may be seriously terrorists. That is not the point. What I'm talking about is when we are looking and we are so desperate for people to give us factual information in the most crucial of times, I don't want some fool like Don Lemon doing it. I'm sorry. I can't stomach him. I just can't. He's every bit the liar and the bullshit artist on the air that these other people at Fox News are. And that's how I started off this whole thing, saying that I'm so disappointed in what CNN is doing. I'll tell you the truth. I loved Chris Cuomo. I thought Chris Cuomo was a very decent guy. He seemed like a good dude. He got ran out of there because, well, certain people still think that you got to fall on your sword and you got to take one for the team and you got to do the honorable thing. They should have just left Chris Cuomo on the air. That Fox News would have left him on the air because they understand what their base is looking for. CNN doesn't. CNN doesn't know who their base is, and because they have been so wishy-washy and so weird and so erratic over the past 5 years, this goes back to Trump getting in their head. Trump took CNN off of their mission. Whatever Ted Turner's mission statement was when he started CNN way back in the 80s, they have drifted so far from that because they just got mind fucked by the guy in the Oval Office, and now they don't know what the hell they are, and it's an embarrassment. I'm passionate about this because I love news, and I'll tell you, I have no idea where to turn to for news, at least not the televised kind. I spend hours every day searching through different topics, reading all different newspapers. That's not fun. I would like to be able to just sit and watch something and feel like, okay, I am not getting an agenda. I am not getting a particular political point of view. I am not being spoon-fed ideology. I am getting somebody who is actually just telling me what's happening. I used to think that was Jake Tapper, but don't get me started on Jake Tapper because that dude, I can't stand him anymore either. Like I said, CNN, Breonna Keeler, and John Berman. Those are the only two people who seem like they are dignified, who seem like they understand the purpose of someone who delivers news. All these other people want to be entertainers. That's it. Okay. You know what? I did enough. I ranted a little bit on this. So I'll jump into the chat room. I mean, I'll address some of you people. I mean, I'm sorry if a lot of you are, Don Lemon lovers. I am not. I am just not. Let's see, where am I? Where can we get to this? All right. Give me a second here. Leslie McDaniel asked, why don't you torch Tucker Carlson? Because I have no expectations for Tucker Carlson. I know what Tucker Carlson is. He is the heir to the Swanson frozen meal fortune who somehow has found a way to appeal to people who live in trailer parks in Alabama, which is the strangest thing. I don't talk about Tucker Carlson because I don't want to be any part of the echo chamber that has elevated Tucker Carlson to the position of power that he's in. People like Don Lemon. Why do I talk about Don Lemon? Because it's disappointing. Because it's that's it. That's the long and the short answer. Leslie says, haven't you already beat this dead horse? Maybe, Leslie, maybe, but it's trending today, and that's what we do here. We talk about what's trending. Are you saying you can't separate the news anchor from the news? Touche, Jeff. Maybe I am. Tom, it is New Year's Eve in New Orleans. I can find other reasons not to take him seriously, but the New Year's Eve show, who cares? It's just not dignified, Tom. It's just not for a guy that they are putting as their hood ornament for the network moving forward for the next few years. I just think it's a bad look. It's a disservious look. And it's, like I said, it's not dignified. Bill says, I agree with Leslie. Tucker Carlson and it's Sean Hannity. Let's get that right. Are terrorists. Like I said, I don't work in mainstream radio anymore because of people like Sean Hannity. So I'll be damned if I want to talk about him or if I want to go. I mean, ugh. But you know what? You're right. You're right. Because actually, I'm starting to see this, maybe from your point of view. Maybe I shouldn't have even covered the Don Lemon thing, because the Don Lemon trending topic is also divisive. It is. But again, I think in the moment, for me, it's just so disappointing that, I explained CNN was supposed to be the middle ground. It was supposed to be the one that wasn't Fox News and wasn't MSNBC. Everybody knows that MSNBC is in the tank for liberals, and everybody knows that Fox News is in the tank for the far right. CNN was supposed to be the news station. They're supposed to be the legacy source for information in this country. And they are just wallowing. They are just flailing, treading water. They don't know what they're doing. Oh, I also like the girl who's on now. I can't remember her name. She used to do the morning show. Blonde girl with glasses. Erin Burnett too. I don't mind Erin Burnett. Erin Burnett seems pretty serious. She doesn't act foolish. I can take her serious when she says something big is happening. But Don Lemon is also all about projection. He's all about one side and one side only. And maybe you are a person who only wants that side, who feels like, the same way that people who watch Fox News feel about, getting their side. I don't really look, I've long said that the best thing that cable news or just news and information in general can do when they put a politician on or somebody who's going to be exposing some form of ideology, the best thing that they could do for all of us is take away the R for Republican or the D for Democrat under their name. Take those away. Just let these people talk, because I'm telling you, 9.9 out of 10 people, the minute they see the R under somebody's name, they tune it out and it doesn't matter what they say. Same goes for people with D's. You got a Dem under your name, nobody is going to listen to what they're saying. So if we truly want to have dialogue and if we truly want to have constructive conversation, we need to eliminate the specter of ideology and political partisanship. And a great way to do that would it would force you to listen. Now, who's this guy? Wait a second. Is this guy a Republican who I hate or a liberal who I love? Do that. Make people actually listen to the words, process the words, instead of just going, okay, this guy has an R. That's what I want to believe. So let me listen to what he's saying. Oh, I like that. I'm going to repeat that one. He said that. And then you just dismiss everybody else. That would be my idea for fixing the way political conversation is handled, but they won't do that. They don't want to do that. Leslie says, I just think that I hold Don Lemon to a different standard than the Fox guys. Yeah, you're damn right I do. You are damn right I hold Don Lemon to a different standard than the Fox guys, because I know what the Fox guys are. There's no question there. That's not anything that I would even. All right. Yes, I do. I hold him to a higher standard, as we all should. We should hold everybody to a higher standard than the Fox guys, because there doesn't appear to be any. I'm not going to go into it. Tom also says, plus, if there is real breaking news, they aren't putting Don Lemon on. He has a primetime opinion show. That's not true, Tom. Yeah, they do. Yeah. If news breaks at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, it's Don Lemon who handles it. It absolutely is. They don't bring in, Boris Sanchez, and have him sit in the anchor chair. No, it's the primetime guys. News doesn't just happen, when the appropriate people are on the air. Byron Granger says, he's mean to the guy that I like and doesn't rag on the ones I hate enough. There, fixed it for you. Okay. Leslie Collins says CNN has changed since Trump. Yeah, they really have. They truly have, and it's disappointing. They allowed the whole fake news and being booed at rallies and all that stuff to affect the way that they cover the news when they shouldn't have. Thank you, Albert. Jeff says, how are we supposed to overcome division if we don't discuss the things that divide us? Well, that's a great point, Jeff. But we need to figure out a way to do that first, because the division runs so deep, there is no conversation to be had. There just can't be. I mean, come on, man. We got guys taking horse dewormer. I mean, We are in a very odd time here. People don't believe doctors. They don't believe the world medical agencies, but they're listening to Joe Rogan. I mean, they're listening to Tucker Carlson. Again, a rich kid, silver spoon little bitch who is the heir to the Swanson frozen food empire. Most people don't know that. They don't talk about that. Leslie says, how are we not discussing things? Or do you mean the public at large? I'm sorry, Leslie. I'm not following that. How are we supposed to overcome a division? Okay, so we'll move on now. But yeah, that's I'm sorry. That's I find Don Lemon and CNN in general to be incredibly disappointing, certainly in the last 2 to 3 years. Albert Gembo, will there ever be a totally independent network that is non-biased? There could be a true news network that doesn't do politics. Politics isn't news. See, we all think that politics is news because that's all we've gotten. Governance is news. Legislation is news. But the way the sausage is made, in the way that we are force-fed every step of the way in every divisive argument, that is not news. That is just simply entertainment for some people. You know what news is? News is when, a train derails in South Dakota. News is when, the 5G rollout today, which isn't even trending. That's like one of the biggest, it's not even trending. It didn't even, that's news. But other bullshit is trending. Other things that divide us are the only things that qualify as news these days, because news relies on commercials. And you have to have people. You have to be entertained. You got to sit through the commercials. That's the only. How are we going to get people to sit through commercials? We're going to tell them exactly what they want to hear. Well, news isn't what we want to hear. News is information that we need, not shit that either bolsters or somehow calcifies crazy things that we want to believe. And that's what cable news has become, whether it's MSNBC, Fox News, or CNN. They don't actually deliver us. If something happens, if there is a big news story, we might get 20 minutes of actual coverage about details and information, and then at some point it'll be politicized. It doesn't matter what it is, but at some point they'll go down that road. And then suddenly you've got a guy with an R and a guy with a D, and they're arguing over a plane crash and who's to blame because it's Biden's FAA. It's madness, and they do it willingly. And we, the people, are the ones who are suffering because we're becoming dumber and dumber. We're not learning anything. We're not being informed. It's hard to be truly informed. Going off on a rant. Sorry. Jeff Glenn says, you either show them boobs or you piss them off. Fox does both. Yeah. Leslie says, political theater has always been salacious and people have eaten it up since the Egyptians. That is not true at all. Leslie, I'm sorry, but as a student of broadcasting for many years, it all started in the late 70s when news in America until about 1980 was considered a loss leader for networks. It was something that was put on by networks as a public service. But Leslie, now you're like a Fox News person. You can disagree, but I'm telling you the history of it. News was designed as a part of the public service arrangement between networks and the United States government. The United States government allowed the networks free use of the airwaves. We, the people, own the airwaves in return for certain things. And until 1980, round about 1980, news was a loss leader. News was supposed to lose money, I should say. It was not supposed to be an element of a network's budget that made money. They wrote that off. They said, okay, we're going to lose this much money here, but we're going to make this much money with Three's Company and Love Boat. But we're going to lose this much money here. It was done as a public service until a guy by the name of Fred Silverman got involved and said, hey, we can actually make money with a news department. And then it all changed. The original things that started to pop up were the news magazine shows, the 2020s, which blurred news, actual information with entertainment. And then you had the cable news come in, and all cable news in the beginning, CNN was a legit news thing. In the beginning, Ted Turner had a very strict code of what he wanted on the air. But then in 1990, Roger Ailes came in and, was it Ailes? Yeah, it was Ailes. Ailes came in. He convinced Rupert Murdoch that you could do a version of news entertainment that only appealed to the most demographically appeasing group, which was white men of a certain age who drove fancy cars and took their family on vacation. That was the pitch to Rupert Murdoch. Let's do something in the news that stokes the anger in them. And we were off to the races. But news was not always, now there may have always been a salacious element to gossip and all that, but that wasn't news. Newspapers are different, but we're not talking about, it says if you are only talking about TV, then sure, but politics predates that by a long way. And newspapers, there's been yellow journalism in newspapers from the beginning. That's absolutely true. I'll agree with you on that. But anything that we would consider to be broadcast news, the stuff we rely on, that was not always this way. Walter Cronkite made $50,000 a year. He was the most trusted man in the world, and he made $50,000 a year. Now, granted, that was at a time when $50,000 a year was probably a lot of money, but $50,000 a year to tell us that President Kennedy didn't survive the assassin's bullet in Dallas on that day. That's all. These were not superstars. They were not celebrities. They were people who were respected. They were people who had dignity, and they were people who, in the most dangerous of times, we could turn to and trust that what they were telling us wasn't their opinion or wasn't something that was being, promoted by a sponsor, but it was actual information, dry, boring, and lacking the sizzle that is everywhere in news dissemination today. All right, we're done. You hit a hard subject with me because I'm a news junkie. And I fully understand that the kind of news that I am advocating for, the kind of news that I would like to see return, will never happen because none of us will watch it. Me and a couple other nerds. Well, C-SPAN. Nobody watches C-SPAN. That's what it would be like. It would be like C-SPAN. It would be just for a bunch of eggheads and weirdos and boring people. Not to be divisive, but Hope Hicks is trending. Hope Hicks, remember her? Oh my God, look at Hope Hicks. She's trending because it was put out earlier today that Hope Hicks is joining the Big Brother cast for the upcoming season. That's right. They used to call her Trump's minder. She was Ivanka's friend. Was it Ivanka? Yeah, she was Ivanka's friend from college. I'm thinking Trump was kind of interested in. I mean, who wouldn't be? She was a gorgeous, glamorous girl. She was Ivanka's friend from college who eventually ended up one of the most influential and powerful people in the West Wing. She was said to be one of the only people who could control Trump and whatever. So when it was released earlier today that she was going to be on Big Brother, everybody went nuts because they're like, yeah, that checks out. She's not a serious person. She had a very serious job and she had very big responsibilities, but she's not a serious person. I could totally see her on Big Brother. She's not going to be on Big Brother. That was a parody account that tweeted it out and everybody bid on it. And, so there you go. So if you're hoping to see the lovely Hope Hicks, by the way, Hope Hicks is now teamed up with Stephen Miller. Remember Stephen Miller? Remember that guy? That is like a gruesome twosome, huh? So Hope Hicks and Stephen Miller are like going around the country handling people's congressional campaigns, and they're like big MAGA campaign consultants now. So she is not going to be on Big Brother. So there you go. Google Doodle is trending because people are outraged that the Google Doodle could be a mask. Like I said, if you're not wearing your mask, if you're not getting vaxxed, if you're not doing all these things, then, look, genie's out of the bottle. That train is rolling down the track. Ain't nobody changing their mind. There ain't one person who was against wearing a mask yesterday who today is going to look at a Google Doodle and go, well, Google speaks to me. Now, this is something that maybe I should start. No, it's over. It's done. Let's just stop. Let's move on. 30,000 to, was it 300 to 500 or 30,000 to 50,000 more deaths in this country being projected by the CDC. By spring, we're not wearing masks. We don't care. We whatever. Just I hopes it don't get me. The Earth's core is trending. This is another feel good. Yesterday, we had an asteroid. Did it miss us? Yeah, we're still here. We're still here. We had an asteroid that skipped off our atmosphere, whatever, the closest near extinction event in the past 200 years. Won't be another one for another 200 years when the same damn asteroid comes around. Here's my bet. That same asteroid, it ain't coming around in another 200 years. It ain't going to be around because within 200 years, we are going to perfect the ability to blow those bastards out of the sky. That is that thing. We are not going to be haunted by these incoming objects. The Space Force will be up and running. We'll have laser beams. We'll do whatever the hell it is. At least I hope. At least I hope to God. Can we work on that? Let's work. We're not going to work. The science people, you're not getting anywhere with your COVID stuff. We just got to let that thing run rampant. But let's work on laser beams that can shoot from spaceships that can blow up asteroids that are coming way too close for comfort. Let's work on that. So yesterday we had the asteroid thing. Today the Earth's core. The Earth's core is trending. The Earth's core. It sounds important, right? Well, it's cooling. I don't know. Scientists are saying that the Earth's core is cooling at an alarming rate. That don't sound good. I'm not a geologist. I don't know anything about the Earth's core. I like to imagine that there's a whole civilization down there of people. I don't... But it ain't good. So Earth's core, there you go. The Earth's core is cooling. So we're all going to be dead. And then they say these things and then they're like, and the planet only has at least 1.5 billion more years before it completes. I'm like, okay, all right. So why are we talking about it now? Why is this a story now? If we don't care about somebody who's going through cancer treatments who lives in the apartment next to us enough to wear a mask or get vaccinated, we ain't going to give a shit about people living here 1.5 billion years from now. Stop it. Also, here's another fun story that can't be good. Sahara Desert is trending. Why? Because the temperatures have fallen below zero and it's snowing. It's snowing in the Sahara Desert. They had some pictures. And I'm not going to waste your time with it. You can find them, Sahara Desert snow. North Africa is where this is occurring. Algiers, I think. Temperatures went below freezing. There was a snowstorm. I don't know. What is a snowstorm to those people? Like a dusting, whatever. But apparently it's snowing and there's snow in the Sahara Desert. And this is not like end of time stuff. This is not like, oh my God, it's not. Apparently it happens like once every 40 years where they get like some kind of significant snowfall because of high pressure systems that push up against low pressure systems on the West African plain. I have no idea. I was reading it. There was like an explanation and I started reading it and I'm like, tired head. I don't understand any of that. You're telling me that it's happened before, so I shouldn't be completely concerned about it. How about, can we get back to the Earth's core cooling? Yeah, but that's not for another 1.5 billion years. Okay, moving on. Hope Hicks is going to be on Big Brother, don't you know? Nick Saban is trending. Nick Saban, probably, debatably, one of the greatest college football coaches, one of the greatest coaching buds of all time. He's trending because he's from West Virginia, which I guess I didn't realize, but he's from West Virginia, and he's been friends. This is one of these weird things, man. This is, people who knew each other before they were famous, like when they were just little kids, and now they are famous. And how does that happen? Where's Tom Beller? I blame my lack of fame on Tom Beller. Tom Beller, if you had been famous, maybe then I could have ridden your coattails or something. I don't know. Nick Saban and Joe Manchin were friends when they were kids. What? Come on, man. How does that happen? Nick Saban, who grew up in West Virginia and walked alongside his players in a Black Lives Matter march, is one of the signers of a letter, along with former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, an NBA executive and former player and coach Jerry West, all favorite sons of the Mountain State. The letter reads in part, and this is to Joe Manchin, So we are united now in urging Congress to exercise its constitutional responsibility to enact laws that set national standards for the conduct of federal elections and for decisions that determine election outcomes. Former West Virginia University and NFL athletes Oliver Luck, father of Andrew Luck, and Oliver Luck was the commissioner of the old USFL, I believe. I think so. Something like that. Oliver Luck and Darrell Talley were others who signed the letter to Senator Manchin. But yeah, Saban was friends with Manchin growing up. You imagine seeing like two little West Virginia rugrats, running around. Is a hey little Nicky Saban, hey little Joe Manchin, and you expect both of them to be one to be a truck mechanic and the other guy to run a diner, right? No. Then one ends up the greatest football coach of all time, and the other one is a United States senator who was at the epicenter of one of the most contentious political situations that we've faced in this country in years. Sleepy Joe Biden is giving his first press conference today, 3:00. Is it 3:00? Yeah, live 3:00. Biden's going to take questions. He hasn't done it in a while. He's going to get up there in front of the people. And here's the thing. This is something that I was reading earlier today, which bothered me. The headline that they're running with is Joe Biden gives first press conference in 10 months. Like that's a bad thing or like that's out of the ordinary. It's not, as was reported in the article that I was reading. The reason that seems like he hasn't done a one-on-one press gangbang session in so long is because Trump was the weird one. Trump was the one who did that like once a week because he loved being on TV and he thought that he could handle the press. Trump would probably be president again. He probably would have won re-election if he wasn't so arrogant and went in front of the press every day and just said one stupid fucking thing after another. That was his undoing. But this idea that Biden hasn't done a press event like this in 10 months is not out of the ordinary for a United States president. That's why they have a press secretary. That's why every single day the press secretary gives a briefing in the press room, because the president is theoretically too busy to be wasting their time with a bunch of people trying to get gotcha answers and gotcha questions. This is not odd. 10 months is not a long time for a United States president to not go in front of the media and take one-on-one unfiltered questions. It's actually normal. But for some reason, because we live in the abnormal, everybody is running with, for the first time in 10 months. That's not weird. It was weird that Trump did it every day or every week or whatever. That's what's weird. Reagan never did these. Never, ever, ever. So rare. Reagan did like 3 of them in 8 years. But, they don't say that. They just say, Biden's going to give his first press conference in 10 months. What's he been hiding from? Why is he hiding? He's not hiding. That's what presidents do. Stop it. Or he's probably sleeping. No, he's probably doing what presidents do, which is not feel this urge to get in front of the media and see himself on the nightly news, answering questions from people who are... Never mind. Greece is trending. Greece is trending because unvaccinated people over 60 years old in Greece will now face monthly fines. Monthly fines for people over 60 in Greece who are not vaccinated. Live Nation is trending. Well, Live Nation is trending along with the story that we talked about yesterday, which is the new concert, sort of like the emo Bonnaroo or whatever you want to call it. It's the When We Were Young tour, which was announced yesterday with bands, like Avril Lavigne, whatever. I don't even know any of the Dashboard Confessional, all of these bands. Live Nation is trending today alongside When We Were Young because Live Nation, people are saying, shouldn't we suspend their concert promotion for a little bit until we figure out what happened at Astroworld? Because they're the people who organized Astroworld, and we know how that went. So maybe Live Nation... Pugs, what are you saying? That's what Live Nation does. Yeah, well, maybe they should probably sit this out for a while. Maybe they should look at the way that they do these big, massive festival events before, something terrible happens like what happened in Astroworld with Travis Scott a couple of months back. Who else is trending today? Amy Schumer is trending. I'm not a big Amy Schumer fan. Seems mean. She seems mean. She's kind of funny though. I mean, I've enjoyed. I used to like some of the stuff she did on the Amy Schumer show. I thought she was great on that, but it's just I don't know. She just kind of rubs me the wrong way sometimes. Well, she had liposuction, and she is showing off her new liposuction body on the beach, and she looks fine. She's fine. Amy Schumer is a normal. The unfortunate thing about Amy Schumer is that she has to exist in this sort of world, this environment where anyone who we pay attention to has to look like Emily Ratajkowski. It's like that. That's the medium. If you don't look like that, and Amy Schumer looks like a girl you dated in college. Amy Schumer looks like a normal, cute, everyday, normal American girl. And unfortunately, because she's fat, she's a big fat pig. No, she's not. She's an American girl. She looks like an American girl. She's cute. There's nothing wrong. Yes, she is not Zendaya. She is not that. She is not, as I said, Emily Ratajkowski. She's not that. She is a real person. She is not one of these anomalies that we put up on a pedestal because not since Cleopatra have we seen anybody as beautiful. That is not what the majority of people are. Amy Schumer looks like a normal person. And she's also trending because now she's healthy. She went through a battle with endometriosis. I'm probably saying it wrong. You ladies can probably correct me. I do not see any need for me to know what that is because from what I understand, it has to do with the lady pocket. It has to do with a little something that I don't have. And, there you go. So get that lady pocket checked because it flared up. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It sounds terrible. And she went through a difficult bout with this. Amy Schumer did. She seems to have come out the other end healthy and looking good. And she lost some weight. And then she had some liposuction. And that's why Amy Schumer is trending. The N95 mask is also trending. The N95 mask is trending. Oh, that's because the government and I gotta imagine this is probably what Biden's going to be talking about today. The 400 million free N95 masks are being sent out to all of us. I'll take a couple. I'll take a couple. I used to have early on in the pandemic. I was working at a place and they went and they bought us all these N95 masks. I liked them, except. I wore it so much because nobody explained how we're supposed to do it. We were all just given masks and said, wear them. And, do you wash them? Can you throw them in the washing machine? Well, how do you do this? In my N95 mask, where the nose bridge is, when I would sweat, it was so gross, man. It was yellow from sweat. It was a white mask and it was just, I can't even think about it. So then I went with, cloth, not cloth, but fabric and just throw them. I got a whole bunch of fabric masks that I just throw in the wash every time I do laundry. And I got a drawer and I open them up right next to my socks and my underwear. I put the mask in the back pocket. Who knows if I'm going to need it. If I end up walking into a store where it says, please, we request that you wear a mask, I'll wear the mask. I'll go along, whatever. I'm not going to be, I can't believe you're making me wear a mask. I get it. I understand we're in different times. So whatever. I'm not looking to cause any trouble. Bartender is trending. This is a fun story. This bartender, oh boy, look, as an old bartender, I can tell you, don't F with a bartender. They see everything. They notice everything. You leave the bar and you do something stupid. You better make sure that you got that hush money in the form of a tip for the bartender because, so a bunch of drunks stiffed a bartender and then walked outside the bar. This was on January 3rd. And then walked outside the bar and they lit some Christmas trees on fire, which were on the street. And the fires spread and it turned into a whole thing. And the police went into the bar, talked to all the people who were on staff and said, did you see anybody? Did you see anything? And they went to a bartender. He said, yeah, those were the guys that didn't tip me. Those are the dudes that sat here all night, ran up $100 bar tab and then didn't tip me anything. And I watched them walk across the street and start that tree on fire. You're buying their silence, people. Anything that you may do for the rest of the night, you are buying the bartender's silence. What else do we have? Paige Van Zandt is trending. Paige Van Zandt, MMA fighter. I find Paige Van Zandt to be charming. I find her to be a nice personality. She's got this like big, bright, shiny, smiley personality about her. She's very pretty, and I also find her to be a terrible fighter, a terrible mixed martial artist. She is like, she was elevated. This girl was elevated to the highest ranks of MMA because Dana White thought she was hot. And it wasn't just Dana White. The whole world thinks she's hot because Paige Van Zandt is very hot. She is a very pretty girl, and they would put her in the ring and she would get beat up by girls who were not as pretty as Paige Van Zandt. And then she sort of bounced around. She got kicked out of the UFC. She went into some bare knuckle fighting what organization. She had 2 fights in there. She got her clock cleaned in both of them. And yet she's still famous because now she's like MMA hot girl, Instagram, MMA workout, whatever, that whole thing. Well, why is Paige Van Zandt trending? And by the way, look, the only knock on Paige Van Zandt is that she's not a good fighter, is that she was sped through the ranks and elevated to the very top of the female fight cards because of how she looks, because she is beautiful. And any guy, most guys, they could probably name 2 or 3 MMA female fighters, and Paige Van Zandt is guaranteed to be one of them. And she does not deserve to be that well known, at least not based on her fighting, because she ain't that great of a fighter. Oh, interestingly enough, too, back in the 90s, there was Paige Van Zandt was in TV commercials, like as a little girl, as like a teenage girl. She did a Swiffer sweeper commercial with her mom, where her mom was like cleaning the kitchen, and the little girl there is Paige Van Zandt. She's like, "Mama, that really cleans it up." Anyway, Paige Van Zandt did a Instagram or whatever question and answer thing. Well, here, I'll just tell you. MMA star Paige Van Zandt was candid about her apparent sex tape while doing a Q&A with fans on Instagram this week. She really is pretty. I'm scrolling through the pictures. You can look at her. You can find her if you want. She's no Rose Namajunas, though. I'm telling you. Rosie's my girl. According to Osimo.com, so you know it's true, Van Zandt was asked by one of her 3 million followers if she would ever make a sex tape with her husband, another middling MMA guy by the name of Austin Vanderford. Would I, Paige said, we definitely already have. Would I ever share it, sell it, promote it? That's a different story. Van Zandt and Vanderford, who is also a professional MMA fighter, tied the knot in September of 2018. During the early months of the COVID-19 pandemic, the couple gained notoriety on social media due in part to their nude photo shoots. Yeah, that's a little thing that they got famous for on Instagram. They would be doing their MMA workouts, but they would be naked. They'd be like, her and her husband are doing like naked MMA workouts. And it was that Austin Powers thing where you couldn't see anything because there would be like barbells strategically placed to cover up all the genitals and her boobs and all that stuff. But, people liked it anyway. Sex tapes. I got no issues with sex tapes. I've got questions about people who then take their sex tapes and put them out into the public for self-promotion because, at that point they're a porn star and that's okay. But I'd like to talk to you about that. I'd like to talk to you about your feelings about, basically being a porn. Well, I'm not a porn star. This is a sex tape that I made. Nah, you're a porn star. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You're having sex on tape, and then you're putting it out for other people to gawk at for profit. It's the same category. It's the same thing. Well, no, because those are productions. No, sometimes porn stars are married. Sometimes they're dating. Sometimes they're definitely doing it. But sometimes, that doesn't make any difference if it's your sex tape. If you guys want to make a sex tape because it's something that you and the person that you care about, are committed to, love, or in a relationship with, if it's something that helps or maybe excites you and makes the sex better, man, more power to you. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. Again, I just have a question about the people who then go, let's put it up on Instagram. Yeah. Now you're getting a bit self-exploitive. exploitive. I don't know. Don't, I'll work it through when I'm off the air. I'll figure out how to use that word properly next time. Yeah, I just like, I'm very interested in the upcoming Hulu movie about Pam and Tommy Lee, because I had always been under the impression that Pam on some level was okay with the release of the sex tape. But as far as from what I've seen and the little that I've been able to read about the new Hulu series about Pam and Tommy Lee, she was horrified. Which Kim Kardashian was not horrified, though. I think Kim Kardashian released that herself. I think Paris Hilton released it herself. I think that I can't believe someone would release this. I mean, yeah, you're okay with it. You're okay with it because now you're super famous and you get to have the sexy hot sizzle of a porn star without being somebody who's like necessarily a willing participant in the porn industry. I was robbed. They stole my tape. That's weird. But normal people, look, technology is everything. We take selfies, we take pictures of everything. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong about, a couple making a sex tape, as long as it's just for them. I do think that it's incredibly narcissistic. That's the way it's. But okay, beautiful people having sex together, they're probably narcissistic to begin with. Me, I'm never making a sex tape. I don't want to. The person I'm with wants to forget it. We turn the lights off. There's absolutely no reason to go back and cover the territory. No, thank you. So for me, no. But, if you're somebody and, you're definitely physically attracted to the other person and you think you're a particular variety of sexy, good for you. Go for it. No problem. Don't worry about it. I also don't like the dick pic thing, though. I also don't like, the girls that send you, pictures and stuff. What do you mean, Pugs? You don't want to get unsolicited nude pictures from a girl? No, I really don't. I'm a man in my 50s now. That's just not my generation. Still seems weird. Even though I am an agnostic, I do have this specter of Catholic guilt where it just seems weird. Sex is dirty on some level to me, even though I'm trying to overcome that. I think I proved that by my my gracious approval of committed couples making sex tapes. So I don't think it's necessarily awful. It's just not my thing, man. You're never going to get a dick pic. I'm never going to be cool with you sending me like nudie pics. That's just not my thing. But hey, that's all right. That's what sex is about. Finding somebody who your things can cohabitate. That's it. That was weird, wasn't it? Your things can cohabitate. Oh boy. Let's see, what else do we have here? We're almost out of time. I feel like I'm missing something. Let me jump in and let me see if there's anything new that is trending. That has happened. There's a nice big picture of Yvette Mimou. She was beautiful. Nobody's ever heard of her, but she's beautiful, and she's dead now. You know what I did? I said I'm going to check out what's trending again, and I just instinctively went to Twitter, even though I don't like to go to Twitter. I don't like the Twitter trends because they're ridiculous. Dolly is now trending at number 2. Before it was Dolly Parton. So now voting rights for the people is trending at number 1. Mac Miller. Today's Mac Miller's birthday as well. He's dead. Heat 2, Roberts, National Popcorn Day. Oh, we didn't do what National Day it is. You know what? We forgot to do that. That's okay, Pugs. You don't have to. No, my promise to you is to make certain that you know how to celebrate this day properly. National Popcorn Day is trending, so I expect that to be, National Popcorn Day. It's World Quark Day on January 19th, and it's National Popcorn Day. What is World Quark Day? Let me see here. I believe it or not, I've got some popcorn takes, and I'll be sharing those with you in a minute. On January 19th, World Quark Day officially celebrates quark and its many benefits. Quark is a European superfood staking its claim on supermarket shelves. I don't care. The Europeans have been conquered dozens of times. Just in the last 100 years, I don't think they're capable of producing a superfood. So screw you, quark. Popcorn hot take coming. I love popcorn. I think popcorn is fantastic. I'm not a big fan of movie theater popcorn because, it's just like insulting to me that you're going to charge me this for that, and I just can't do it. But, like microwave popcorn, has there ever been an instrument invented that has so amplified the enjoyability of something that has been a staple quite the way the microwave amplified popcorn? Popcorn, when I was a kid growing up, we had Jiffy Pop. You had to cook it over you had a little pan, and you had to cook it over a stove, and it took forever. And then if you were fancy, you had like an air popper or something, and that was a thing. And you're like, oh yeah, let's watch a movie. Let's get the air popper. But then the microwave comes out, and boom, suddenly it's like anybody can have popcorn in 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes, you get the best bag of popcorn that you've ever had. So I'm a big popcorn enthusiast. It's not ridiculously caloric. It's not terrible for you. I mean, corn isn't necessarily good, but if you need a snack, it's better than eating a big bag of Doritos or something like that. So popcorn is good. Now, let me do a deep dive into the popcorn thing. You ever get those big tins of the mixed up popcorn where you'll have like regular buttered popcorn, and then you'll have like caramel corn, and then you'll have like cheese popcorn? Let me tell you something. Individually, I love me some regular buttered popcorn. Individually, I love me some cheddar popcorn. Love it. Growing up, Vintner's Okie Doke popcorn. I don't know if we have it here. I don't think we have it in Texas, but you probably got some variety of cheddar cheese popcorn where it's in a bag and your hands are all yellow and orange when you're done. Vintner's Okie Doke popcorn from the Midwest is the best snack on the planet. I love that shit. I can eat it just by the bag load. So good. So I do not have a problem with cheese popcorn. And caramel corn. Oh my God. There are these places, for some weird reason, the city of Chicago has staked the claim to like the popcorn capital of the caramel corn capital. There are these Garrett popcorn shops in downtown Chicago, just about on every block. And tourists always come and they get the big tins. When they make the caramel popcorn fresh and it's gooey and it's sticky, oh my God, that is ridiculously good. Now, you never get that when you go home because it cools and it hardens. So by the time you get home and you open the tin, it's all hardened. But if you get it right from the place where they're making it, oh, that is like a next level thing. But here's my hot take. I've established that I like the butter popcorn, the cheddar popcorn, and the caramel corn. And I appreciate that there's a little divider. But man, I'm telling you, there is nothing grosser than when you mix the caramel corn and the cheese popcorn. Nope. No, thank you. That ruins everything. It's like, it's such a putrid, disgusting. No, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take a little of this, a little of that, and a little of that. I do not subscribe to that theory. I understand that is why they do it that way, but for my money, there is nothing more disgusting to put in my mouth than some cheese popcorn and some caramel popcorn. Caramel and cheese does not go together. And that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. That's about it. Jeff says, smart food white cheddar corn is good. I love cheese popcorn, but the cheese powder makes me gassy. Cheese popcorn the best. Cinnamon second place. Buttered third place. Cinnamon, Leslie. I don't believe cinnamon popcorn. Isn't that interesting? Now, do you make that yourself? Like, do you pop some popcorn, and then what you do is you melt the butter and then maybe sprinkle some cinnamon on it? And is it a straight cinnamon from a cinnamon shaker, or do you do like a sugar cinnamon mix? Because I can't really take cinnamon alone. Sugar cinnamon mix has to be the way to do it. That actually sounds very intriguing. That sounds good. Is there anything better than Cracker Jack or Poppycock or whatever the hell you want to call it? I don't know. I think different places call it different things. For me, it was always Cracker Jack. Cracker Jack is good. Caramel corn and peanuts and Poppycock, or is it Poppycock, or is it Cracker Doodle, or Doodle Fiddle Faddle? Whatever it is, I like. Sometimes it's toffee. Sometimes it's caramel. Sometimes it's Happy Popcorn Day, everybody. That's going to be about it. That's it. We got nothing else we want to talk about. So Biden's going to do his press conference tonight. This afternoon, 3:00. Not tonight, this afternoon, 3:00. 3:00 our time. That'll be interesting. I don't think my man's holding together well. I think somebody's gonna poke the bear, and he's gonna go a little bit. By the way, can I just make mention of this? You guys, Saturday Night Live was terrible this weekend. It was just so bad. It was so dumb. I just couldn't get past it. The news was good, and the opening segment is always good now because are you appreciating this new cast member on Saturday Night Live who's doing Biden? Oh, is he funny? James Austin Johnson, I think. Oh, is he funny? This guy is great. I really love his Biden. And it was going to be difficult for me to like a Biden impression more than Jason Sudeikis' original Biden impression from 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. But man, this new guy, James Austin Johnson, he is too good for Saturday Night Live. He really is. And he's new and he's only like a featured guy. He's not one of the main players, but you can tell how much they like what he's bringing to the table because he's doing cold opens as Biden. He is the Biden guy. But then he's like popping up in like sketches, like leading sketches, not just like the second or third cast member in a sketch, but leading the sketch as the protagonist, as the main person. He's really good. He is really funny. My friend Kevin Barber sent me a video this morning on Twitter of a fake documentary that guy made, James Austin Johnson. Brilliant. Just too good for Saturday Night Live. Just too good. So I'm appreciating that. Oh, well, there we go. Hold on. Let's start it again. All right, there we go. I have got my poetry. I have got my songs. Another popcorn thing. You ready for this? I dated a girl. She was a Texan, and she turned me on to a way to eat popcorn, which I still do from time to time. It's not my go-to. It's not my standard, but occasionally I'll be like, yeah, it's all right. So you take the popcorn, right? You pour it in the bowl. You drench it with butter because butter is, butter's going to make everything stick. So you drench it with butter, and then you take a bottle of Tabasco and you just whap, thwap, thwap, thwap. And then you toss the popcorn. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. To see me through the lonely nights, help me to be strong. I am like the dancing bear, trained to be the best. I am on a never-ending quest. I can smile a little. You're waiting for the drums to come in, aren't you? First of all, I know that this song has grown on you. I know that you now look forward to it. But I also know that you probably anticipate my horns and the driving drum beat that I've added to it. John Hinckley is looking for bandmates. I would like to offer my services as a producer. I want to produce this album up. Now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day. What's going on with you, Jeff Glenn? You can't eat popcorn with milk. What, are you just trying to get us all to do something stupid? Jeff Glenn, you can also eat popcorn with milk, but eat it fast because it gets soggy quick. What? What? The best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. Whoa, whoa. I have got an old guitar. That is all I need. I don't need no 401. Get him, Leslie. That was just, I think he's trolling us. I think he's trying to get people to pour milk on their popcorn, and I ain't falling for it. I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. We'll be back tonight at like 9 o'clock. Pugs and Parker. What you missed last night was me and James Parker scrolling through Russian bride websites, trying to figure out if it was real, and then reading question and answers that are on the site. Questions if you're interested in getting a Russian bride. More dumb shit like that on Pillow Talk. Remember, this one is just about topics. This is just about the things that people are talking about.
Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so I fall into sun.
Whoa, whoa.
I can smile again. Things are going good. Always had to be on guard.
I'm going to have lunch, and you know what I'm going to have for lunch? I'm going to have my tricked up ramen noodles. Oh, God, this is so good, you guys. I tell you, man, I've fallen. So here's what you do. You just make regular ramen noodles. You just make them, whatever. Because there were no ramen noodles. Oh, that's something I wanted to mention. I went grocery shopping last week, and all the food that poor people eat is gone. There is no poor people food. There used to be an entire wall of ramen noodles. There was beef, there was chicken, there was pork, there was shrimp, there was soy, and it was just stacked up. And you can get like 6 of these ramen bricks for $1, and it's a beautiful thing. Or then you go over to the frozen foods, and they got the Michelina things, right? And it's like they've got the fettuccine and chicken, they got the beef with rice, and they got 10 for $1, or they got 10 for $10 or whatever. And all gone. All gone. All the poor people items at the grocery store are gone. So I had to get, all they had were soy ramen noodles, soy sauce flavors. And I'm like, the hell's the point? So I had to go out and buy some beef bouillon because I prefer the beef. So, here's what I do. So here's my tricked up ramen noodles. I make the soy ramen noodles with the noodles. And then I just take like a teaspoon of the beef, whatever, the beef, what do they call it? Bouillon. I stir that in. So now we got something happening here. Now we got a mixture of the beef bouillon, and now we got some soy sauce. We got the noodles, and that's all working great. But then what do you do next, Pugs? That's not tricked up. I'm telling you what I do next. Then I take some crab meat, like the flake crab, right? Crab meat, right? So I chomp that up really nice, maybe put a little garlic salt on it, and then I throw that in there. Whoa. Now we got ramen noodles, some crab meat. We got a little soy sauce mix, a little bouillon mix. But he's not done. I take a cucumber. I chop up the cucumber and I dice it. Then I take some carrots. And I dice them up, right? And I got them. Then some celery. And then I put them in a little bowl, a separate bowl, not the bowl that's cooking the noodles, a separate bowl with another little bit of beef bouillon in there. And I microwave it for, 4 or 5 minutes. I get them carrots cooked. I get it all nice and bubbly. Then I add that on top of the regular ramen noodles that I got, right? So now I got crab, I got cucumbers, I got carrots, I got some celery in there, I got the noodles, I got the soy packet, I got the beef bouillon. Then I make my magic sauce, which is the wasabi, the tube of wasabi, and then some soy sauce, and then you mix that up, and then you pour that into the mixture, you mix it up. That sounds gross, Pugs. Maybe, but it is like, for me, it feels like the most authentically Japanese soup that you could possibly have. And it is delicious. And I don't care what any of you say, because my 12-year-old son thinks that everything that I make is trash except for that. He's like, Dad, this is seriously really good. I know it's like super high-end ramen. So that's what I'm going to do when I sign off here. So when you're imagining what I'm doing, it's that.
That is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest
of love.
I'm on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.
All right, there you go. Show is officially over. Now let's deal with some of you scumbags. I've been looking at your comments all day here. April, you were a problem from the beginning. April and her no sound. It was on her end. Made me panic at the start of the show. It's okay, April. You don't have to be sorry. None of you people have to be sorry. This is, you're putting up with me ranting. Oh yeah. So April says it's super nice here in Waco. So that was how did I skip over that? Was that one of the? Oh, I know what it was, because it was like the second thing that I put on my list for trending, and then I decided that it was not important enough. Austin, Texas is trending, and more to that, it was trending because Austin is going to go from like 80 degrees to like a snowstorm or wintry mix in Austin's forecast. Wednesday's temps near 80 before rain, snow, and sleet hit the area on Thursday. We're going to get some of that up here. We're going to get a little bit of rain. It's going to be a little bit cold. I don't think we're going to have another thing like we had last February, the power grid failure. But that's coming. I just don't you feel like that's gonna happen again? Don't you? Like in some weird way, don't you feel like that shit's just gonna go down again because nothing was done? Just God, I wasn't here at the time. I was in my toasty, well-insulated Midwestern home. I had been dealing at that point with sub-zero temperatures for probably the previous 3 months. And when I saw what Texas was going through, my kid, I'm making light of it, but my kid had a serious situation. They had an incident when the power was out where the carbon monoxide was built up, and they had to have the fire department come to their house in the middle of the night, and ambulances, and everybody got checked out. Everybody was fine, so thankfully. But my God, I don't know. Mom and stepdad saved my kid's life that night, so thank God. So it's certainly not anything to joke about, but I think it's going to happen again. I think that we're probably doomed to have another. I don't know if the power failure will be on the level, but I think we're going to get another storm. I'll say that. I think we're going to get another snowstorm because that just seems to be a normal thing that happens now. Weird weather. Okay, Adam Rain, I see. I appreciate your January 33rd joke. I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to skip through all the Don Lemon stuff because that was a big part of the show. At least as far as the chat conversations were. Oh, I must have trolled you all. I must have gotten you all to bite and start talking about that stuff. Yeah, boy, look at that. Okay, this is interesting. So I had mentioned that Walter Cronkite made $50,000 back in his contract was, but it was the 60s and the 70s. He was making like $50,000. Jeff did the math. He did the equation there. He said that $50,000 in 1963 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $500,000 today. So Walter Cronkite was making $500,000. Let me ask you, Jeff, how much does the highest paid news anchor in America make today? Because Walter Cronkite was the most trusted man on the globe. 50 million times that? I mean, so, wouldn't you be shocked if you learned that Sean Hannity was only making 450? Sean Hannity makes like 20 million a year. It's, so it's not the same thing. As soon as they rolled in the commercial and as soon as profits became a big thing with news, then we started to have, rock star news people who demanded the big, I can hold an audience, man. I know how to lie to them. I know how to get them all ginned up. Pay me $20 million a year. So, although for guys like you and me, Jeff, think of the damage we could do with $500,000 today. We could, but if we had a big platform job like that, we would be crazy underpaid. Crazy. I had a friend in radio who had a $2.5 million contract. He made $2.5 million a year. And then because of the downturn in radio and because, people don't listen to radio anymore, he was still number one. He was still dominating. He still held up his end of the bargain. He was making $2.5 million a year. And when his next contract came around, they said, okay, so this is not your fault. You've been doing a great job. You're still number one. In fact, you're number one by a larger margin now than you were when we gave you that $2.5 million contract. Your advertisers are sold out. They love you. There is no problem in that regard. but you made $2.5 million a year last year, and we want to keep you, but we can only pay you $500,000. He walked. He walked. I'm like, what? Now he's doing a podcast for no money because he just couldn't fathom the idea that he'd been making $2.5 million for the previous decade. And now they come to him, and it's not like his ratings went in the toilet. They come to him at contract time and go, here's the deal. We're only going to give you the 0.5 of that $2.5 million. And he walked. How crazy is that? How insane is that? Man, that just shows how out of whack we. And now he hasn't worked in radio in 5 years, and he hasn't made a dime in 5 years. He could have made another $2 million off of that, $500,000 that they were willing to pay him. Are you kidding me? I mean, that is just so infuriating to me. And I like this guy, and I've told him this, and he knows. He understands that, it was a bit of a miscalculation driven by ego and narcissism, that he couldn't believe that he was being given that kind of a pay cut, even though he had done nothing wrong. But shut up, dude. You didn't notice the lay of the land. You didn't understand that people don't listen to radio in the same numbers that they did 10 years ago. People are listening to Spotify. People are streaming shit. People are doing things on demand now. It ain't the same business. Let's see what else. What else do we got here? Leslie says, how far does 500K go in Chicago? Real far, Leslie. 500K goes pretty far everywhere. That's the maddening point of it. That's $365,000 a year is $1,000 a day. I mean, so let's say on $500,000 a year, you've got a fancy penthouse apartment that costs, $7,000 a month. So that's 70, that's 104. So your rent is like, $150,000 a year. You still got $350,000 for cars, and say, yeah, it goes far. It goes far. It's a lot of Italian beef and popcorn. That's for damn sure. It's a lot of Bears tickets. It's a lot of Cubs hats. 500,000 goes far everywhere, even in New York City. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You know what doesn't go far in New York City? 100,000. 100,000, which could have you living like as comfortable as possible in a place like Dallas or a place like Houston, or somewhere like that. Phoenix, wherever. 100,000, you could live very nice. You can have a nice car. You can have a nice place to live. All of that stuff. It's fine. It's good. It's wonderful. That won't get you anything in New York. That'll get you a shitty apartment in Staten Island, and you have to commute to your job in Manhattan every day. But 500,000, you can still live in New York. You can still live in Manhattan on 500,000 a year. 500,000 is $500,000 a year. That is still a lot of money. Still a lot of money. I had a friend who had an apartment. He was a stand-up comedian. Here's why I don't want to say who it is, because I'm not sure if it was Craig Gass or Jim Norton. I'm not sure which one I'm talking about here, but they had an apartment in Times Square, and it was, and they were touring, and they were making a lot of money. They were probably making more than 500,000 a year, but they loved this Times Square apartment because it was just, it's a pretty cool place, I guess. And you're on the road most of the time, and they had to give it up because of that, because they were on the road so much. And this apartment cost them like $5,000 a month. And it was the size of a closet. It was like a studio, but you could still live there. And then they just went and bought a house on Long Island for like $1 million, and whatever. I think that was Jim. I think it was Norton, or maybe it was Craig. I don't know. Let's see. We're not talking about. Leslie McDaniels. Then isn't that really a poor white foe? Okay, so I don't know what pho is. Whatever. Maybe. It's delicious. It's really good. Talking about my tricked up ramen noodles, which I'm about to have for lunch on this gray. Is it cold though? I want it to be colder outside. If it's going to be gray like this, then I want it to be cold. I don't want to be able to walk outside in shorts and a t-shirt when it looks gray like this. Current temperature 55. All right, that's not terrible. I can wear shorts. I can still wear shorts. Shorts and a sweatshirt. That's 55. 55. It's early October in the Midwest. Faux show. I don't know what pho is. I mean, I know pho is a thing. I know that it's. I know that pho is like an Asian dish. That there are like these faux shops. It's fish, right? I think it's fish. I don't know. I'm not really big on that. I might be. It's I turn my nose up to no ethnic cuisine. I will try everything as long as it's not a brain of an animal. I will try just about anything. And I love Asian food. I love Chinese food. I love Japanese food. Yeah, how can you say you love Japanese food but you don't love pho? I don't know. Is pho Japanese or is that Korean? Is that like I don't know. What is ramen? Is ramen Japanese? When I say I love Japanese food, just hear me say I love sushi. That's it. That sushi is Japanese. I love Japanese food. I love sushi. All right, guys, I think that's it. I think we're good. I think, well, we may not be good, but I think I'm done. I rattled some of you with my hot takes. That's my job. Yeah, I know, Adam. It's going to be cold tonight, dude. Pho is Vietnamese, and it's pronounced pho. Okay. Albert Gamboa, do you like menudo? I'm Hispanic, and it's nasty. I have had menudo twice in my life. First time, unbelievably good. I thought it was so good. I don't want to know what's. I know it's like stomach lining and all that kind of stuff. Oh my God, did I think it was good? Second time, it was awful. So I don't know if there's going to be a third time with me. It's just just how we do. Leslie McDonald, make sure you check your Venmo regularly. You know what? I don't. I don't like to panic myself. I check it typically at the end of the month. When I see if we can make bills. That's because this is you guys are, Leslie, you particularly, very actually all the Leslies are just wonderful. So thank you. But I will. And the other thing is that there's a bit of a, I don't want to go into it. But thank you to everybody who regularly supports the show with whatever way that they can. And look, most of you diehards who are here every day do such a great job. The show truly only continues to exist because I'm able to do it because of you guys. So, it's not just about you getting to listen to this. You're paying for this shit. So thank you. Appreciate it. I do expect, news coming. I do expect in the coming weeks to have some announcements regarding an actual job that will actually pay me money, that will actually be something that, I won't have to, we won't have to do the tips and stuff anymore. That's been the plan the whole time. This show isn't going anywhere. I love doing this show. I love doing just a show, and now doing it by myself. I mean, I really enjoy that. I really like this talking to myself thing. And, so how can you do that? Well, I'm an only child. I was an only child of a single mom. I spent the vast majority of my life in my room talking to myself, just so. It came natural to me. I fought it. I resisted it. I thought that I needed somebody to be having a conversation with, and I still love the art of conversation. I still love having somebody where you can just really get into a good talk with them about something. But for the purposes of this, where it's just we're going through current events and trending topics and all that stuff, I think I've been pretty comfortable doing it on my own, and I really like it. So I do appreciate you guys all just sitting around and listening to me. And that's not going away because I look forward to this. I would say this. I could see possibly, I was going to say possibly the Pillow Talk thing going away, but I like doing that too. That might not be as regularly every night, but this will remain. This will remain. I'm committed to trying to build this. I still don't feel like we've completely figured out the best way to maximize what this is that I'm doing here. But I do now feel comfortable doing it, whereas for the first few months I did not. It was like, but And the plan moving forward is that we'll get rid of the whole. I suppose you could still tip the show if you wanted to, but the show will no longer be dependent on you guys. You guys are carrying us through these initial 6-7 months of the show. But there are some things coming. I can tell you. Why not? Kelly and I are going to be doing something in podcast form. So that's coming. I think you'll enjoy that. That'll be on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. More details. She may even and hopefully be joining me from time to time, either on this show or on the pillow. You know what? I haven't said anything about this, and I don't know. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because it's such an uncomfortable subject matter. But people are wondering, well, why aren't you doing anything with Kelly? Why isn't Kelly hanging out on the show? Why aren't you? You could at least talk to her. Couldn't she just at least be, on the phone or something like that? And yeah, she could, and she would absolutely be, wonderful doing it. And there is no, they must hate each other. No, not at all. Love her dearly. She's like my sister. Kelly has been going through something with her family the past probably year or so. So she's just been unavailable. Nothing to do with the kids, nothing to do with, the marriage. All of that stuff is rock solid. Everything's fine. The kids couldn't be better. All of that. Her mom died. Yeah, her mom died on Saturday. And I haven't mentioned it. I don't think that she would mind. I don't think. I didn't. I just felt it wasn't my place. That maybe she'd like to talk about it. But her mom had been sick for the past year, and it wasn't particularly easy. And it was Kelly spending a lot of time in Florida and, taking care of her mom and all that stuff. And on Saturday night, her mom passed. I got the text. I'm watching the Buffalo Bills just run roughshod over over the New England Patriots in a crowded bar in downtown Dallas. And I'm just like sitting there crying. I'm like tearing up. We're having this very nice text exchanged, and so that has been the holdup. The holdup. Would you hurry up and die, old lady? No, that's not what I meant by it. But the reason that she hasn't been included in any of this is because she's been distracted by taking care of the things that are truly important in life, which is, our family and all that kind of stuff. But now, as soon as she feels up to it, she will be joining in some way, shape, or form. And her and I are. We've been talking for months, along with Ed. As a matter of fact, we worked this out. We solidified the whole deal about 2 months ago, where her and I would be doing a podcast. I don't want to give any details about what it is, but it's going to be a specific single subject podcast. And it's just going to be her and I, and we're going to be, it's going to be an advice column. We're going to be giving, it's kind of like the old HGD stuff. We've got all of this material built up, and we're going to be pulling apart crazy situations that people are in. And so we're going to do that. That's going to be a podcast. It's going to be like, it's going to be like a couple of people who have made every bad choice in their life talking about why other people should listen to us. That's it. And that's coming this year. This year. Jeez, what do you mean? Like October? No. I mean, like probably I would say within the next 30 days. We'll have more on that when that comes to be. So there you go. Just keep a good thought for Kelly. And, if you're friends with her on what, don't. I was going to say, if you're friends with her, reach out, but don't. Because then it's like, like diarrhea of the mouth. I don't think that I was not allowed to say all that. I just didn't really feel comfortable saying it or talking about it. But her mom was funny. Her mom was a ball buster. The great story that she always told about her mom was everybody was out to dinner. And Kelly was a successful personality in Chicago and then in Dallas, and she did a talk show for, at one point, 5 hours a day, where it was just, free form conversation. And the subject of a local Chicago talk show host came up, and his name was Ro Khan. And her mom started going on and on at dinner about Ro Khan. Like, I have never been so impressed. Could you imagine the idea of just sitting there on the radio, on a microphone, and just talking for 4 hours a day? I mean, how could anyone do that? And Kelly's just looking at her mom like, you know what I do for a living, right, Mom? How about be impressed with me? Her mom was funny. So there you go. All right. So that's all. That's everything you need to know. Oh, look, we've got our Russian bots back in the chat room. So on that note, we're out of here. Be well. Have fun. We'll see you at 9 o'clock if you're around for Pillow Talk with me and Parker. Bye, everybody.